Chapter 442. Coming out of the apartment, Gu Min yawned. I haven't slept well for days, and you're still tormenting me tonight. Yi Huanyan glanced at her. He can't beat you even if you're asleep. Besides, you're the one who wants to stay. What if he runs away? I want to take him with me. This guy is definitely up to something. What bullsh** is he saying about not being able to draw or remember when we're in another place? Okay, Xiao Wu is at the entrance of the alley. You can go back. Don't beat him up. Contact me if you need anything. Hey. Gu Min grabbed Yi Huanyan with a worried expression. Is that Xiao Wu reliable? How's her fighting skills? Can she really protect you? Young master had asked her to protect 2nd Mississippi. If he found out that she had left her post, she would be done for. Don't worry. I think she's not much worse than you. It's just that you're a practical fighter and hurt people too much. She's a competitive fighter. She can protect me and reduce the number of casualties. Is she that good? I want to learn from her. Another day. Can I introduce you two to each other another day? Seeing that it was getting dark, Yi Huanyan didn't want to waste time with Gu Min. She grabbed her bag and walked directly into the alley. Gu Min watched her walk out of the alley until she met up with a slender girl and got into the car. Gu Min then turned around and muttered as she walked upstairs. She's so thin. Will she be able to fight? In the taxi, Chen Yin looked at Yi Huanyan sternly from the front passenger seat and asked, Why did you come here without telling us? Yi Huanyan was buttoning Naoneo's clothes. She looked up at her. Are you sure you want me to say it now? Chen Yin pursed her lips and glanced at the driver from the corner of her eyes. She swallowed and said, You have to tell me when you get back. Okay, but I'm hungry. Let's go eat first. What did Hong Jie say? Chen Yin slapped her thigh. Sister Hong said that there's a gathering tonight. It's a gathering of young hunks. We're going to have dinner together. All right. Changing the topic to the little fresh meats, Chen Yin began to talk to herself and fell into a frenzy of self-indulgence. She did not have the time to ask Yi Huanyan what she was doing here in the afternoon. Yi Huanyan looked out of the window. It was the end of December in Shanghai. The north wind was bleak, and the green plants on the road had withered. There were pedestrians everywhere, wrapped in coats, scarves, and hats. She deeply doubted whether the young man named Xiaobo could draw the man who had lost his phone. Also, she was worried about Ling Han. According to Gu Xinyan's deduction, he did not board the plane and should have gone missing in LA. Who kidnapped him? How is he now? Is he dead or alive? Everything is fine in China, and Yi Huanyan is not too worried about his life. Ling Han's last call was to Xiaodong at Lanjiang City Airport. Although he was not the one who made that call, this proves that the kidnappers want to use him for something and will not harm him. Thinking of this, Yi Huanyan secretly heaved a sigh of relief. She no longer looked out of the window, but leaned back in the chair and closed her eyes to rest. Chen Yin seemed to have said something, but she did not hear it clearly. She opened her eyes and asked, Huh? What did you say? Chen Yin frowned. Sister Yan Yan, why do I feel that you are hiding something from me? Yi Huanyan paused for a second. Why do you ask? You've been absent-minded for the past 2 days. Chen Yin imitated Yi Huanyan and sighed. Then she blinked and said, Haven't you noticed it yourself? From the moment I picked you up at the airport, to your 2nd and 3rd sister's banquet, and on the flight from Lanjiang to Shanghai, you kept sighing. Yi Huanyan frowned. Is it so obvious? It's quite obvious. Naoneo yawned beside her. I feel that there is no need to hide it from Auntie Xiaowu and the rest. Chen Yin nodded. That's right. Tell us what's wrong. We can come up with a plan to help you. After saying that, she suddenly froze and glared at Now. Do you know something? Why didn't you say so earlier? Naoneo glanced at her and said calmly, Sister Xiaowu and the rest of you can't help me with anything. So it doesn't matter if I tell you. It will only make you anxious. Huh. I have a bad temper. Chen Yin was sitting in the front passenger seat. If she had been in the back, she would have pinched Naoneo's face and started yelling at him. Yi Huanyan smiled helplessly. Chen Yin seemed to have understood something, so she stopped yelling after a while. After returning to the hotel and changing their clothes, the group rushed to Su Hong's appointment. It was said that there would be a group of young hunks. Chunning was not as excited as she was when she was in the car. Facing the young hunks who tried to strike up a conversation with her, she was also indifferent. As for Yi Huanyan, she was even less interested. Chunning went to the restroom. Su Hong smiled and toasted the people at the table before following her. Su Hong did not look too good when she returned. After the dinner, they went back to the hotel to rest. Yi Huanyan was busy calling Gu Xinian to ask about Ling Han, so she went straight to her room after returning to the suite. Just as she was about to close the door, she turned around and saw Su Hong following closely behind her. Su Hong had one hand on the door frame and was staring at her with a frown. Yin Yin, I have something to ask you. Yi Huanyan was slightly stunned. Naaneo went back to his room to rest, and the three sisters sat on the sofa in the living room. They had booked a suite at the hotel. It had 3 rooms and 1 living room. Yi Huanyan and Naaneo could share a room, while Su Hong and Chunyin could share a room each. Su Hong was obviously planning to interrogate them, so she went straight to the point. What are you hiding from us? Do you still treat us as sisters? Yi Huanyan's heart skipped a beat. She instinctively looked at Chunyin. Chunyin looked resentful. That, Sister Yin Yin, I didn't mean to say it, but you don't look so good. You can hide it from me for a day or 2. But can you hide it from third sister? Yi Huanyan, do you see us as your sisters or not? Su Hong was angry and said angrily. Good sisters should go through thick and thin together, right? Back when we were in prison, we had an agreement. After we got out, we helped each other a lot. You helped me a lot in my bar, and you also contributed a lot in Big Sister's company. Why are you still hiding something now that you have something? Yi Huanyan was embarrassed by her continuous rebuke. She held her hands and said hesitantly, It's mainly because no one can help me with this. It's quite complicated. I don't even know what to do. Hearing this, Su Hong rolled up her sleeves and slammed the table. Your third sister is no longer the same as before. How big of a problem can there be? Tell me. I'll help you even if I have to stake everything I have. Yi Huanyan looked embarrassed. This has nothing to do with your wealth. Su Hong's entire wealth was not worth the renovation of the Four Seasons Villa's pier. Tell me. How will I know if you don't tell me? Yi Huanyan sighed helplessly. Ling Han is missing. He might have been kidnapped, but I don't know where he is right now. I also don't know who kidnapped him. Chapter 443. Kidnap? Su Hong and Chunyin had the same reaction. They were both in disbelief. Yi Huanyan took a deep breath and slowly said, I'm not sure, but he's been missing for now. Su Hong awkwardly twisted her neck, as if trying to think of an idea. I think. How about I help you put up a missing person notice at the newspaper? Yi Huanyan forced a smile. No need. We can't alert the enemy now. They want us to maintain the status quo. So I think it's best not to act rashly. Right. We can't act rashly. What if they kill the hostage in a moment of desperation? Chunyin chimed in. To be honest, the two of them were indeed powerless when it came to Yi Huanyan's problem. So, Yi Huanyan glanced at them. Don't worry about me. Just do what you need to do. Pretend I didn't say anything. I'll think of a way to solve this problem. Don't. Tell us what we can do, even if it's just running errands. I already know about this, so how can I pretend I don't know? Su Hong was anxious. Yi Huanyan didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Third sister, you're making things difficult for me. She even forced others to find something for her to do. Seriously. Me too. Chunyin was just a lackey. She kept chiming in and agreeing with her. Yi Huanyan was helpless. After pondering for a long time at the door, she really did come up with a solution. The next day, Su Hong went to pick up Gu Min in Yi Huanyan's apartment, and picked up the painting while she was at it. Meanwhile, Chunyin took Naaneo, and followed Yi Huanyan to the suburbs of Shanghai to look for Qiaomu. Yi Huanyan was holding the history of the Pleasure Group, as well as the records that Qiaomu made when she was still at Pleasure 6 years ago. These records were clearly incomplete in the end, so she still had some questions to ask him. Ever since Remaining Life wrapped up filming, Sheng Enren announced his retirement from the film industry and moved out of Lanjiang City with Qiaomu. They found a house on the outskirts of Shanghai and lived in seclusion. Of course, He did not tell Yi Huanyan the address, but it was not difficult for her to find this place. Chen Yin held Naaneo's hand and skipped behind them. The scenery in the suburbs of Shanghai was quite good. There were mountains and rivers. When Yi Huanyan found the place where Qiao Mu and Sheng Anren lived, it was already noon. Waves of smoke and the aroma of food drifted out from a two-story villa near the lake. Sheng Anren sat on a chair at the door with the dog in his arms and basked in the sun. He wore a pair of sunglasses and held a sun umbrella over his head. He looked comfortable. A deep voice came from the room. "And Ran, it's time for lunch." "Coming." Sheng Anren put down the dog and saw Yi Huanyan and Chen Yin as soon as she stood up, as well as Naaneo, whom she had seen many times. Why are you here?" Sheng Anren took off her sunglasses and looked at Yi Huanyan and company in surprise. Naaneo made a face at Sheng Anren. "We came to find Uncle Qiao Mu for something." "Bad auntie, are you going to stop us?" Yi Huanyan quickly glared at Naaneo. "Don't be rude, Naaneo." Naaneo stuck out his tongue. Sheng Anren did not seem to mind and even smiled. "Rare guest. My place has always been deserted. Other than the people I see in the city every week when I go out to buy things, I basically don't interact with anyone all year round. Come in and sit." Sheng Anren, who was married, put away his fierce aura, and his dressing style was more and more inclined to a comfortable rural style. The color was light, and it was all cotton and linen. "Old Qiao, add 2 more dishes. We have guests." Sheng Anren shouted in the direction of the kitchen as soon as she entered the room. Qiao Mu stuck her head out in confusion, and also showed the same surprised expression when she saw Yi Huanyan. Chen Ying was the most impolite person. She directly complained that she was hungry as soon as she entered the room. She pulled Now to the table and started sweeping away the leftover clouds in one breath. When Xiao Mu finally brought the final batch of sweet and sour pork ribs to the table, she was already rubbing her belly and lamenting repeatedly, "I can't eat anymore, I can't eat anymore. Why didn't you say you were going to make pork ribs earlier? I ate less of that steamed pork powder just now." Yi Huanyan rolled her eyes at her. "Even food can't seal your mouth. Go play on the side." She came to find Qiao Mu for business. Just as Qiao Mu sat down, Sheng Anren put down her chopsticks and said with a faint smile, "You guys chat first. I'll go brew a pot of tea for you guys." "It's fine, just sit down. You can also listen to what I want to ask." Yi Huanyan thought she wanted to avoid arousing suspicion. "I know, but I don't have any interest in those things right now, so you guys chat. If there's anything I can help with, just tell me." Looking at Sheng Anren's back, Yi Huanyan could not help but sigh with emotion. "Qiao Mu, I actually think you're quite blessed, even though you've waited for so many years." "Yes, I'm very satisfied." Qiao Mu smiled. "That's right, you came all the way here for something important, right?" Hearing this, Yi Huanyan withdrew the smile on her face, and her expression dimmed. She briefly explained the pleasure group's current problems and Ling Han's disappearance. Qiao Mu frowned. "Director Ling went missing? What happened?" "It's a long story. I keep feeling that this matter is related to the recent personnel changes in Pleasure Group's board of directors. I heard that Umbo and his son's status on the board of directors suddenly rose recently, and several projects that Ling Han previously rejected were brought up and approved by the board of directors after he went missing. There's something wrong with that pair of father and son to begin with." Qiao Mu's words confirmed Yi Huanyan's earlier conjecture. "What happened? You saw the stock investigation report I wrote before, right?" I brought it. That report wasn't actually completed. It was a confidential file that Director Ling commissioned me to start investigating before he took over as director. I started investigating not long after I graduated and entered the company with Director Ling. I unexpectedly discovered that the people who secretly bought the scattered shares on the board of directors all had contact with Umbo and his son. Yi Huanyan asked in confusion. "But didn't those scattered shares end up in Qiao Mingsheng's hands in the end? What's up with that Qiao Mingsheng? You should still remember that the board of directors voted to elect a successor to the director 8 years ago, right?" Qiao Mu reminded. At that time, Qiao Mingsheng was still on the board of directors. His crucial vote was originally planned to be cast for Umbo, But the night before, someone broke his leg while he was drinking at a bar and sent him to the hospital. He didn't have time to participate in the board of directors meeting, so his voting rights were exercised by his wife on his behalf. Crucial vote? Yi Huanyan was confused. Xiao Mu explained. Before that, Xiao Mingxing had already convinced more than half of the shareholders to vote for Umbo under his leadership. However, he just didn't come that day, and his wife voted for Director Ling. That portion of shareholders who were originally uncertain of their intentions naturally changed sides at the last minute. In that kind of situation where they didn't have an overwhelming victory, the one family's father and son didn't dare to risk exposing themselves. If they lost, they would suffer a crushing defeat, so they all voted for Director Ling. Chapter 444. 8 years ago was the most difficult year for Ling Han in his career. Just hearing Xiao Mu describe the risks involved in that board meeting once made him feel a lingering fear. After hearing the one father and son's secret plan, Yi Huanyan took a deep breath and asked, "Did you and Ling Han find someone to break Xiao Mingxing's leg?" Hearing this, Xiao Mu raised her eyebrows. It was his wife who asked someone to break it. What? We only helped a little, and told his wife that he was using money to support a woman outside. No wonder Xiao Mingxing's wife wanted to help them later on. So do you think the board changed this time, and Ling Han's disappearance are related to Umbo and his son? I can't say for sure. It depends on the changes in their shares during this period of time. If their shares skyrocketed, then perhaps it was the shares they stole from Ling Han. This answer made Yi Huanyan a bit dejected. To her, this was not a definite answer. It was only an answer that was slightly more likely than her previous guess. So the top priority is to find a way to get close to the father and son? Yi Huanyan asked. Yes, but you can't. Both the father and son of the one clan know you, and they know that you're someone by Ling Han's side. They'll definitely try to find out more about you, and know almost all the people around you. Are you talking about Director One from the pleasure board? Sheng Amren suddenly interrupted while holding a tray with glasses and a teapot filled with flower tea. You know him? Yi Huanyan asked. I don't know old Director One, but I'm very familiar with his son, Wen Siyuan. Very familiar? Yi Huanyan pressed. How familiar? Cough cough. Xiao Mu coughed behind them. Yi Huanyan abruptly realized that they were in someone else's home, and the person behind them was Sheng Anren's husband. The topic she asked was truly inappropriate for children. It's just that he chased after me. I played hard to get for a period of time. Nothing happened. Later, he was forced to get married by old CEO One. Then about 2 years ago, he divorced his wife and proposed to me again, but I didn't agree. Sheng Amren was a bit nervous and anxiously watched Xiao Mu's reaction. However, Xiao Mu sighed in relief and said dryly, That's good. Yi Huanyan quickly asked, Then do you know this Wen Siyuan? I might have a presumptuous request. Do you want me to contact him? Sheng Anren exposed her thoughts in one sentence. Yi Huanyan glanced at Xiao Mu hesitantly. Isn't this request a bit too much? It's not too much. Sheng Amren smiled nonchalantly. If I was still attractive to him right now, I would definitely help. However, I was a bit harsh when I rejected him 2 years ago, so it's already good enough that he doesn't beat me up when he sees me. I really can't help you. So it's like that. Yi Huanyan was a bit disappointed. But I still have an idea. Sheng Amren blinked and revealed a meaningful expression. Yi Huanyan, with your connections, you should have the ability to find a woman who looks like me, right? What's wrong? If you find someone who looks like me, she will definitely attract his attention and won't be guarded against by him like I am. Yi Huanyan was startled when she heard this. Good idea. It was already dark when they returned to the hotel from the suburbs. Yi Huanyan was exhausted after driving for 2 hours. She had been thinking about how to find a woman who looked like Sheng Anren. She also had to be smart and bold. She swiped the room card to open the door and saw 3 people sitting on the sofa. Su Hong, Gu Min and Xiaobo. Why did you bring him back? Yi Huanyan looked surprised. Don't mention it. If we didn't bring him back, he would have been beaten to death, and we wouldn't have been able to see Su Hong's face was filled with righteous indignation. Isn't the quality of the people in Shanghai the second best in the country? Second only to the capital? This is the first time I've seen people rob their neighbors in an alley. Is there no law? Yi Huanyan was confused and looked at Gu Min. What? What happened to you guys? Gu Min scratched her head. She seemed to be at a loss about the young master she had brought back. After a long explanation, Yi Huanyan finally understood. Su Hong had just been there today, and was about to leave with Gu Min with the painting, when she saw a group of people carrying bags rush into the top floor of Xiaobo's house. They took everything they saw, and even the tables and chairs were taken away. The scene was so spectacular that Su Hong thought they were moving. However, Xiaobo was trembling slightly. When he saw the Sebastian figurine fall to the ground, he finally roared and rushed up to fight with the men. Su Hong and Gu Min came back to their senses. One called the police, and the other went up to fight. Later, the police didn't even come. They said that there was a lunatic living in the apartment, and that they would send him to the mental hospital if he called again. Damn it, Su Hong crossed her arms. Don't you think it's infuriating? They bullied Xiaobo, and went to his place to take his things every few days. No wonder. Yi Huanyan sighed in her heart. No wonder when she went there yesterday, she saw that the furniture was brand new. She didn't know how often this kid had to change the furniture. Why didn't you move away from there? Yi Huanyan asked. I did. Xiaobo lowered his head. Both of his nostrils were stuffed with paper balls, and blood seeped out of the corners. He looked like a homeless person. They took all the things my parents left for me in the house. That's why I moved to the apartment. After chatting for a while, everyone realized that he wouldn't talk anymore no matter what they asked. Gu Min accompanied him to the room to rest. Su Hong sighed. I think this kid might be a little autistic. After living alone in that dilapidated apartment for so long, there was bound to be some sort of mental or psychological problem. There were still some mysteries about Xiaobo's life. Yi Huanyan took the half of the portrait that was rescued from Su Hong. She frowned and stared at the man's eyebrows for a long time. She vaguely felt that she had seen it somewhere. But the portrait was a sketch, and it was a mess in the snatching. Only the upper half of the face was left. Except for the eyebrows, almost nothing else could be seen clearly. When he wakes up and calms down, let him draw another one. Su Hong's eyes were a little apologetic. Yin Yin, I'm sorry. I promised to help, but I couldn't get a painting back for you. It's okay. Yi Huanyan put away the painting. When she saw Su Hong, her eyes suddenly lit up. Looking for a beautiful woman, like Sheng Anren, who was bold and clever. Wasn't there a living Mama Sang in front of her? Sister Hong, I still have a favor to do. Only you can help me. Hearing this, Su Hong stared. What's the favor? Tell me, where do you want to run errands? What do you want this time? I promised to bring it back to you unscathed. This time it's not errands. I want you to help me find someone. Who? A woman? Yi Huanyan looked at Su Hong seriously. The kind of woman who looks like Sheng Anren, and has the courage to get information from the rich second generation. Chapter 445. Before Su Hong went to prison, she was one of the best prostitutes in the underground sex trade in Lanjiang City. The reason for her imprisonment was not because of her crackdown on pornography and illegal activities, but because her insensible servant girl got addicted to drugs, which caused her old nest to be destroyed. Later, she went to prison. If you want other girls, I don't have them, but I have a lot of pretty and clever girls here. Not just pretty, but looking like Sheng Anren. Yi Huanyan corrected. Not to mention Sheng Anren, even if you want to look like Jia Bingbing, I have here. With that said, Su Hong led Yi Huanyan into the private club's elevator, and the corners of her mouth curled up with a hint of thought-provoking ridicule. We should have made this sister wait for us long enough. A trace of doubt appeared between Yi Huanyan's brows. Second sister, this place doesn't look like. The place Su Hong took her to was a private high-class club in Shanghai, with a membership system. If one was not a person of status, no matter how much money they had, they could not enter. She hasn't been in this line of work for a long time. Su Hong took over the words with a calm expression. In this line of work, you are lucky to meet someone who is dead set on you, and is willing to let you be the first wife. I don't know what kind of luck you have in this life. Yi Huanyan was slightly stunned. Su Hong's tone seemed to hide a bit of envy, but more than that, she was unwilling to accept it. When Yi Huanyan saw Lan Yin for the first time, she was really surprised. She and Sheng Anren looked 70% alike, and the remaining 30% was the difference in temperament. Sheng Anren was a movie queen-level veteran in the entertainment industry, and the aura in her bones was fierce, while Lan Yin in front of her was coquettish. From the way she poured tea to the way she frowned and smiled, they were all coquettish and soft. Such a woman could be called a stunner. Sister Hong is here, sit down, sit down. As soon as she entered the room, Lan Yin stood up. When she saw Su Hong, she seemed a little uneasy. This was completely different from her sky blue cheongsam, which was obviously the work of a master, and the snow fox fur waistcoat on the back of the chair. This humble appearance made Yi Huanyan think that Su Hong was still a mother, and Lan Yin was a young lady under her command. Don't bother. Su Hong casually hung the coat on her wrist on the back of the chair, and pulled Yi Huanyan to sit opposite her. Her tone was cold and distant. I'm not here to chat. I just want to ask you to do me a favor. After you help me with this, we won't owe each other anything. Sister Hong. Lan Yin's face slightly froze, and her expression became more cautious. She carefully said, the thing you said you know that I'm married now, and my child is 2 years old. I can't do this kind of thing. Please don't make it difficult for me. Yi Huanyan was stunned. She didn't know that Lan Yin, who was introduced by Su Hong, was already married and had a child. Wasn't this forcing a good girl to become a prostitute? She was about to speak, but Su Hong pressed her knee under the table. Really? Married? And have a child? You don't have to remind me of this. 8 years ago, if it weren't for the incident at the venue, everyone would have been separated. Plus, the few sisters who went in with me are tight-lipped. Who would have been able to protect you for the rest of your life as a rich lady? Su Hong's voice grew colder and colder. Actually, I already feel that you've done enough to meet me. After all, in the eyes of people like you, me and those old Su sisters are just a stain on your history. Naturally, you should get as far away as possible. I definitely didn't mean that, Sister Hong. Lan Yin hurriedly interrupted. Sister Hong, I know that it was you and those sisters' kindness that saved me and the child in my belly. I can be where I am today all because of your help. I owe you this favor, and I can't repay it in this lifetime. No matter what you want me to do, I'll agree. But this matter. No matter what I want you to do? Su Hong coldly interrupted her. I just want you to help me get some information from others. As for the other things you said, I won't ask you to do them. Su Hong used the word ask. His tone was overbearing. Sister Hong, don't say that. Forget it. Since you're not willing, I won't force you. Don't make it seem like I'm forcing a good girl to become a prostitute. When I was young as a mother, I didn't force the girls under me to serve anyone. Don't you know this better than anyone? As she spoke, Su Hong stood up. Sister Hong, that's not what I meant. Lan Yin's face was full of panic. She hurriedly said, I promise you. Su Hong's expression softened a little. Isn't that too much of a stretch? Lan Yin gritted her teeth. It's just information. It's not a big deal. As long as you don't tell my husband and son, I'll tell them that I'm going on a vacation for a while. Thank you very much. Su Hong still did not show any joy. She said seriously, after this we don't owe each other anything. Lan Yin bit her lip. No, Sister Hong, don't say that. I still owe you a lot. If you need anything in the future, you can look for me. My son and my life are yours. Yi Huanyan hurriedly tried to smooth things over. All right. Sister Hong has just arrived in Shanghai. She mentioned to me that you were her best friend in the past. It's rare for sisters to gather together. Let's have a good meal together. Don't mention the sad past. Su Hong did not reveal much about Lan Yin to Yi Huanyan, but Yi Huanyan vaguely felt that this Lan Yin probably had something to do with Su Hong's imprisonment. Back then, when Su Hong confessed the reason for her imprisonment in prison number 4, she said very little. She looked a little sad, as if she was disappointed instead of regretful and painful. When Su Hong nodded and sat down, Lan Yin heaved a sigh of relief and sat down with her. After sitting down, she eagerly introduced the dishes to them. Yi Huanyan was worried about Ling Han, so she ate without tasting the food. Lan Yin also ate very little. She kept talking to Su Hong, but Su Hong always ignored her. Almost all the dishes on the table went into Su Hong's stomach. After leaving the club, Yi Huanyan could not help but ask about Lan Yin. Su Hong's explanation was very concise. She was the one who brought people into the club to take drugs. At that time, she was pregnant, but the man was not divorced. He coaxed her for too long, so she broke up with him in a fit of anger. She wanted to earn more money to give birth to the child. In the end, the man's wife found out about this and directly reported us to the club. You didn't know about this. Logically speaking, you shouldn't have been in prison for so long. She was pregnant. She was taken away by the man and hid. I'm invulnerable anyway. Thinking that so many of my sisters were locked up, I couldn't help but grit my teeth. I'm sorry that they followed me for so many years, but they had to bear the consequences by themselves. As she spoke, Su Hong lit a cigarette. She seemed to be thinking about the past and looked lost. Chapter 446. There were too many things that needed to be thoroughly investigated. Yi Huanyan couldn't leave the country, so the matter of going to the Tahiti resort to look for Wen Siyuan was taken over by Su Hong. She was prepared to take Lan Yin straight to Tahiti. Yi Huanyan was worried that the two women wouldn't be safe there, so she asked Chen Yin to go with them. Chen Yin was very close to Lan Yin, probably because they had the same name. She kept saying that they might have been sisters in their previous lives. When they arrived at the airport, Su Hong, Chen Yin, and Lan Yin went straight to Tahiti. Yi Huanyan, Gu Min, and Naaneo were waiting at the airport to return to Lanjiang. Are you sure he wants to go with us? In the airport lobby, Yi Huanyan looked back at the young man who had been standing beside Gu Min without saying a word. Gu Min scratched her head, her slender fingers sticking into her long hair. I think so. The portrait hasn't been drawn yet. Don't we have to bring him along? The question is, does he want to go? The young man, who had been silent and didn't respond, suddenly nodded. Yi Huanyan's eyes froze and her gaze deepened. The question is, does he have an ID card? As soon as she finished speaking, the young man reached out with a white ID in his palm. Yi Huanyan didn't reach out to take it. She hugged her arm and suddenly asked in a cold voice, Song Xiaobo, right? Let me ask you, do you really have autism? The young man's expression froze, and he shrank behind Gu Min. Gu Min coughed and stood in front of him. Second miss, don't scare him. We just drew half of his face yesterday. If you scare him again, he won't be able to draw anything. Wouldn't it be a waste of time? That's right, that's right. Mommy, let brother Xiaobo come with us. Ever since Naaneo met Song Xiaobo, he had completely betrayed him. He followed behind him every day and wanted to learn from him in hacking. The night before, the two of them directly hacked the hotel's security system, and the entire hotel entered a state of alert. When they left today, the entire building's security looked listless. Yi Huanyan didn't really intend to make things difficult for Song Xiaobo. She just felt that this kid was hiding something. She looked meaningfully at Gu Min and said lightly, Send your brother the ID card. Tell him to buy a plane ticket for Song Xiaobo in 5 minutes. Oh, okay. Gu Min still looked confused. She did whatever she was told to do. She took the ID card from Song Xiaobo, then lowered her head, and hurriedly sent a text message to Gu Qi. When she took the ID card from Song Xiaobo, Yi Huanyan noticed that Song Xiaobo's dull and pale face had a hint of red. Was that the reason? Yi Huanyan's eyes showed a hint of a smile, and her original worry lessened a lot. If that was the reason, then there was nothing to worry about. Second miss, my brother said that the plane tickets have been booked. Gu Min raised her head and looked at Yi Huanyan seriously. Let's go and check in. Four Seasons Villa. Gu Heng sat on the sofa in the living room and drank tea. Wen Yi had just thrown a tantrum, and now she had gone to the shooting range to vent her anger. In the end, it was because of Yi Huanyan and Ling Han. Dad, Yan Yan already knows about Ling Han's disappearance. We can't hide it from her. Gu Heng sighed. That girl still doesn't know what she's going to do. Gu Min is following him. Gu Xinian sat opposite Gu Heng and put down his teacup. She said that she cut in from inside the pleasure group and is investigating two directors who don't get along with Ling Han. The directors of the pleasure group? Gu Min shook her head. They don't have the ability to reach into Los Angeles. Gu Xinian's expression was indifferent. Let her investigate if she wants to. Perhaps it has something to do with this matter. There's still no news from Los Angeles. The people investigating in secret have already turned the underground place upside down in the past 2 days. But they haven't found any clues. Really? Gu Heng frowned. But don't worry. Since the other party spent so much effort to hide Ling Han, I'm afraid there's a plan behind it. He's not in great danger now. Gu Xinian touched his chin thoughtfully. I'll go to Los Angeles tomorrow. Maybe there'll be some clues at the pier. Okay. Coming out of the East Court, Gu Xinian was a little absent-minded. According to the manpower and material resources of the Gu family in Los Angeles, they had been investigating for nearly a week. There should be some clues. If they couldn't find anything, then there was only one possibility. Ling Han didn't go missing in Los Angeles at all. Thinking of this, he suddenly connected something in his mind. He took out his phone and made a call. Dana, half a month ago, you told me about the abandoned fishing boat stranded on the beach at the West Gate. How did you deal with it? The West Gate of the Four Seasons Villa was a vast beach. It had been developed and was very muddy. It wasn't suitable for sightseeing, so there was no pier at the West Gate. Only the West Gate's gatekeeper, Dana, was arranged to check the security of the beach regularly. Just half a month ago, a medium-sized fishing boat ran aground on West Gate Beach. It was dark and windy. Gu Xinian turned on his portable flashlight and walked along the path to the West Gate. Dana said that the fishing boat suddenly disappeared a week ago. The day it disappeared was the day Ling Han left the Four Seasons Villa. The West Gate was the most desolate location in the entire Four Seasons Villa. Dana was a native of the island, and she was even older than Gu Heng. She had a head of silver hair, and she was trembling as she walked. Gu Lu had tried to persuade her several times to move into the villa, but she was unwilling. In Gu Lu's words, Dana was an old lady with a strange temper. After Gu Heng bought the Four Seasons Villa, the people who originally lived on the island basically worked in the Four Seasons Villa, helping to watch the door. Their lives were the same as before. When he arrived at the West Gate's small wooden house, Gu Xinian originally planned to knock on the door, but after hesitating for a while, he decided not to disturb the old lady's rest. He walked along the beach with his flashlight. After walking along the beach for a while, the flashlight shone on a bush. Someone had stepped on it, and there was almost a path. Gu Xinian frowned. Judging from the slope, Dana wouldn't come here when she was patrolling. What were the footprints here? He climbed up the hill and shone the flashlight along the footprints. He vaguely saw that under the bush, there was an iron door that led to the underground. Gu Xinian looked around. After confirming that there was no one on the beach, he raised his hand and pushed the door. With a creak, the rust fell to the ground. A door was half opened, and a ray of light shone through. He frowned, touched his waist, and felt the pistol that he always carried. The Four Seasons Villa was where he grew up, and he had never heard of such a place. There was actually someone here? A faint light came from the depths of the passage. It was a long corridor that seemed to have no end. The sound of water dripping could be heard, as if it was just behind the wall. Chapter 447. After walking along the passageway for a long time, the light finally brightened up a little. At the end of the narrow passageway was a cave. There was a dark pool in the cave that was blocked by an iron fence. The light that Gu Xinian saw was from the candles on the inner wall of the cave. It was very weak and swayed left and right with the cold wind that suddenly blew in the cave, illuminating the room in the distance. With a splash, there was a strange movement in the pool. Who's there? Gu Xinian's face darkened, and he took 2 steps back. Another crash sound was heard. The flashlight shone on the fence, through the gap between the bars, and fell on the dark water, rippling with light. A man stood in the water, a tall man. The water was at the same level as his knees. His hands were chained to the walls on both sides. He raised his head and stared at Gu Xinian in a daze, his voice hoarse. Ling Han. Gu Xinian's face stiffened. He looked at the man in the water prison in disbelief. Why are you here? Thinking of his previous speculation, he suddenly understood something. You didn't leave at all? The man in the water prison seemed to be unable to make a sound. He opened his mouth a few times and looked very painful. Seeing his pale face, he didn't know how many days he had been locked here. In December, the water was bone-chilling. If he wasn't taken out, his legs were very likely to die. You wait. While speaking, Gu Xinian held the flashlight and began to look for a lock along the fence. His other hand touched the side of his waist. His eyes froze. His waist was empty. A cold wind blew behind him. He turned around abruptly, but before he could do so, a heavy blow came from the back of his head. His vision turned black and he fainted. Lanjiang City, Haiyan Media's penthouse apartment. When Yi Huanyan let Song Xiaobo through the door, she deliberately looked at him twice. She found that when he entered the room, there was no change in his expression. He was still following behind Gu Min, seemingly a little shy. Naaneo dragged Xiaobo to his room to look at his electronic equipment. Gu Min opened the fridge and took out some food. She plopped down on the sofa and turned on the TV. Have you been watching idol dramas recently? Yi Huanyan glanced at the screen and only saw a recently popular young actor reciting his lines. His voice was as stiff as a recorder. Sister Xiaoyu said that sometimes when you're too nervous, you just look at these things and don't need to use your brain. Yi Huanyan raised her eyebrows and didn't comment. She carried 2 glasses of milk and walked towards Naaneo's room. Drinking milk again? Naaneo sighed when he saw the milk. You can only grow taller by drinking milk. The earlier you finish it, the earlier you can brush your teeth and sleep. Yi Huanyan patted Naaneo's head and handed the milk in her other hand to Xiaobo. Xiaobo didn't say anything. He took the milk and drank it like drinking wine. I'm not going to sleep. It's still early. I want to talk to Brother Xiaobo. We'll talk when you wake up tomorrow. Yi Huanyan directly interrupted Naaneo. And I have something to talk to your brother Xiaobo. It was about the portrait. Naaneo drank the milk and went out to call Gu Min to take him to the bathroom to take a shower. Only Yi Huanyan and Song Xiaobo were left in the children's room, staring at each other. Gu Min isn't here. You don't have to pretend anymore. Tell me, why are you following us? There's no purpose. His voice was very calm. When he spoke, he stuck out his tongue and licked the milk foam at the corner of his mouth like a child. What about the portrait? You really can't draw it, or are you just stalling for time? I can't draw it. Hearing this, Yi Huanyan didn't get angry. She glanced at him. If you still can't draw it tomorrow morning, I'll ask someone to send you to a private studio until you draw it. It's fine if you don't believe me. I really can't draw it. It's useless even if you ask someone to watch me. I don't plan to ask someone to watch you. Yi Huanyan corrected him. Sure enough, Song Xiaobo's expression froze. He stopped licking his lips. Aren't you afraid that I'll run away? It's just a portrait. If you don't draw it, I have other ways to find what I want. But that portrait is very important to you. But if you delay it for too long, it won't be important anymore. Yi Huanyan couldn't be bothered to beat around the bush with him. She said directly, if you have any conditions, just state them. My deadline is tomorrow morning. If you don't want to draw it, you can leave tomorrow. Song Xiaobo's face paled. You can really agree to my conditions? Say it. I want to marry Min Min. Yi Huanyan felt a lump of blood in her throat. She couldn't spit it out or swallow it down. She knew that this rascal had bad intentions towards Gu Min, but she didn't expect that he would dare to say this after only knowing her for 2 days. I can't help you with this. Yi Huanyan waved her hand. Her mouth twitched as she looked at his baby face that was revealed after the bruise disappeared. Her face was full of doubt. And have you reached the legal age for marriage? I'm 23. You look like you're 13. You said that I can state my conditions. But Min Min is free. Even if I'm her mother, I can't make decisions about her marriage. She called you second miss. Do you think this is a feudal society? Selling yourself as a slave? What are you thinking? She's like my sister. I don't care. You said that I can state my conditions. This is the only condition I have. Yi Huanyan felt that they were back to square one again. She frowned and stared at Song Xiaobo for a while. She stroked her chin and said, although I can't force Min Min to marry you, I can give you time to spend with her. Even after you finish drawing the portrait for me, you can still stay here. How about it? Really? Song Xiaobo's face lit up. Really? Yi Huanyan blinked. Then the portrait. I'll give it to you tomorrow morning. Deal. When Yi Huanyan came out of Naaneo's room, she heard Naaneo yelling from the bathroom in the living room. You got water in my eyes, Gumin, you idiot. After a while, Gumin was chased out by Naaneo. Her hands were wet. She muttered as she came out. I told you not to open your eyes. I told you I wouldn't let you fall, but you didn't believe me. She walked to the living room with her wet hands. When she looked up, she saw Yi Huanyan coming out of Naaneo's room. She was staring at her meaningfully with a half-smile. She was stunned. Second miss, what's wrong? Xiaobo agreed to draw. Really? Gumin raised her eyebrows and looked happy. When did this happen? His autism was cured. He can talk to people now. Yi Huanyan was silent for a few seconds. She shook her head firmly. No, he still won't talk. I'll go look for him. Seeing Gumin's excited look, Yi Huanyan smiled helplessly. It was a good match for a brainless person to meet a young man who was full of twists and turns. Ding! A notification sounded on his phone. Yi Huanyan opened her phone and saw the picture sent by Su Hong. In the picture, Lan Yin was wearing a bikini and standing far away on the beach of Tahiti. She was talking to a chubby middle-aged man. The man was not tall, and his round belly looked particularly exaggerated outside his swimming trunks. It was as if half a watermelon had been stuffed into it. Chapter 448. We've just entered the enemy's camp. If nothing goes wrong, we'll win tonight. Su Hong's message was as mysterious as an underground gang. Yi Huanyan couldn't help but smile. She typed a line of words on the keyboard. Then I'll wait for your triumphant return. Okay. Gu Xinian was awakened by a bone-piercing chill from his leg. When he opened his eyes, his calf was almost numb. A sharp pain came from his wrist. He groaned, opened his eyes vigilantly, and looked in front of him. He was already in the water prison. Everything just now seemed like a dream. Ling Han wasn't in the water prison, and he was the only one tied up. The fire on the wall was still swaying desperately. His consciousness was a little blurry. A figure walked out of the passage and slowly walked to him. Through the bars, a strange smile appeared. It's you? Gu Xinian's face was dark, and his eyes were full of coldness. The next morning, Gu Min knocked on Yi Huanyan's door. She was holding Song Xiaobo's painting that had just been completed. She excitedly woke Yi Huanyan up. Second miss, the portrait is done. Yi Huanyan stuck out her messy head from the quilt and yawned in a daze. Then, the moment she saw the painting, her eyes widened and she suddenly sat up in bed. This was painted by Song Xiaobo? Yes. It's actually him. Who is this person? Gu Min looked at the portrait in confusion. No matter how she looked at it, it was an ordinary person who couldn't be recognized in a crowd. Yi Huanyan's face was dark. Before she could answer Gu Min's question, the phone at the bedside rang. Yin Yin, Lan Yin has already got Wen Siyuan, that pervert, to say the words. At the board meeting the day after tomorrow, the father and son will propose a recall of Ling Han. The father and son spent a few years buying the scattered shares outside and grasped the weaknesses of the board of directors. They have already turned all the people on Ling Han's side against him. Impossible. Ling Han has 47% of the shares in his hands. Which one of them is qualified to be the president? I don't know, but when Siyuan promised last night that Ling Han wouldn't come back, I recorded it. Now I'm on the way to the airport. That guy will probably wake up soon. I'll hang up and send it to you. Yi Huanyan was just about to ask why they were in such a hurry, as if they were fleeing, when the phone beeped and hung up. Then she received a recorded email in her mailbox. According to what Su Hong said just now, the father and son of the one family knew that Ling Han's disappearance was related to them. She quickly opened her mailbox and began to play the recording. The first part was the voice of Lan Yin persuading Wen Siyuan to drink. It was so charming that it made people's bones melt. Gu Min listened to a few words, shook her shoulders, and fled out of the bedroom with a look of dismay. Young Master One, I heard that you are the second in command of the pleasure group. Why are you here for a vacation at this time? I heard that the directors will attend the annual meeting of the pleasure group at the end of the year. You know quite a lot. Haha, but I don't like to hear the word second in command. Wait, in 2 days, I will be the first in command. As for the fancy annual meeting of the pleasure group, the president is not there. How can it be held? The president is not there? You really know how to joke. Why am I joking with you? Baby, you still don't know, right? My father has been meticulously planning for so many years, just for this day. That cousin of mine has been working for others all these years. For a woman, he has almost offended the entire board of directors. Hearing this, Yi Huanyan's heart trembled. She knew that when Si Yuan was probably talking about Ling Han's proposal to transfer all his shares to her after she got married at the meeting. Of course, the board of directors would not agree. Ling Han's large shares meant the dictatorship of the entire pleasure group. How could they be relieved to hand it over to a strange woman? It doesn't matter, it doesn't matter. I have endured humiliation for so many years just for this day. Darling, come back to China with me in 2 days. At that time, I will directly register with you and let you be Mrs. One. What do you think? Oh, you are so annoying. Don't touch me. Most of the content of the recording was the two of them flirting with each other, interspersed with Lan Yin's subtle inquiry. She asked all the questions following when Si Yuan's words. It could be heard that when Si Yuan did not have any doubts. When the recording was about to end, there was a sudden change. A man's scream overflowed from the recording. Hearing this, Yi Huanyan froze, and was so scared that she almost dropped her mobile phone. Sister Hongyu. Lan Yin's voice was very surprised. Okay, let's go. Su Hong's voice ended the recording and the whole recording ended. Yi Huanyan hurriedly sent a voice message to Chen Yin. What's the matter? What happened over there? Why is there a scream in the recording? After a while, Chen Yin's reply came. You can't believe it even if I tell you. Sister Hong directly took the vase and opened a scoop for the fat man. Oh my god, you didn't see it. I can't compare with her speed. We have passed the security check. If there is no accident, we can go back tonight. She even made a move. What's going on? Yi Huanyan was a little worried. Isn't it because that damn fatty was too aggressive with Lan Yin? I thought Hong Jie was calm enough and was waiting for her to give me orders. I didn't expect that she would take the vase and go up by herself. She didn't even need me. What about when Si Yuan? He drank so much that he can't even recognize his own mother. What can he remember? I destroyed the hotel's CCTV. Don't worry. After he sobers up, he definitely won't remember why he was cut open. Chen Yin seemed to be very upset that she did not make a move. She was very unwilling to admit defeat on the phone. Sister Hong said that she would use her brain, and I would do it. Why did she do it all? What kind of person am I? I came here for nothing. After hanging up the phone, Yi Huanyan looked at the portrait that fell on the ground. A wave of anger rose between her eyebrows. Sure enough, it was the one family's father and son. But what about Ling Han? Where did Ling Han go? Wen Siyuan could not get any more information from Wen Siyuan, and Umbo was a sly fox. She could only start from this portrait. In the afternoon, Yi Huanyan saved the portrait on her phone and asked Xiaodong to meet her at a cafe near the headquarters of Pleasure Group. Xiaodong was shocked when he saw the portrait in Yi Huanyan's phone. Are you saying that Xiao Mingxing kidnapped manager Ling? Ling Han's phone is here. Xiao Mingxing lost it. The portrait was drawn by a witness. It is obvious that it is him. How can there be someone who looks exactly like him in this world? Yi Huanyan kept her phone. Her face was gloomy. Chapter 449. But why did Xiao Mingxing do this? He had left Pleasure Company for many years, and I heard he had gone to the US. Xiaodong was puzzled. Also, you said manager Wen is the one who ordered him to do this. How is manager Wen related to Xiao Mingxing? When Xiaodong heard from Yi Huanyan that Ling Han was kidnapped, he thought she was joking. I can't explain these things clearly to you at the moment. Tomorrow night is Huan Yu's annual meeting. After the annual meeting, it will be the annual board meeting. At that time, Wen Bo will propose the dismissal of the president. The excuse is that Ling Han has no time to take care of the company during this period of time. He has not appeared in the company for an entire month, and he did not attend the annual meeting. Xiao Dong looked at Yi Huanyan in a daze. After a few seconds he said, "Please continue. What I want you to do is to help me secretly bring someone in from the back door." "Who?" "The artist of this painting, who is also an eyewitness. But the artist is Qiao Mingsheng. How can you prove that Qiao Mingsheng is related to Manager 1? Qiao Mingsheng will surely be there at the annual meeting." Yi Huanyan was very confident. People like them, who had endured humiliation for more than 10 years, waiting for the right moment to strike, would definitely see victory in front of them with their own eyes at the final moment, and then enjoy the joy of turning the tables. As long as they caught Qiao Mingsheng at the scene, then they would definitely be able to interrogate him about his relationship with Wen Bo. At that time, the truth would naturally come to light as to where they had hidden Ling Han. Yi Huanyan was worried about Ling Han's safety. If he is in the hands of the Wen family's father and son, then they will be after Ling Han's shares. If Ling Han signs the contract, his life will be in danger. If he refuses to sign the contract, then the Wen family's father and son will lose their patience, and he will be in trouble. Xiao Dong looked at Yi Huanyan with a confused expression, and no one knows how much he believes. Yi Huanyan looked at Dong Xuebing and grabbed her hand. "Xiao Dong, only you can help me now." Xiao Dong had a troubled look on his face. "Sister Yin Yen, you are exaggerating." Are you kidding me? Today is not April Fool's Day. Don't mess with me. How could President Ling be kidnapped? Should we call the police? Calling the police will only alert the enemy." Yi Huanyan tightened his grip on Dong Xuebing's hand. "Xiao Dong, you should remember how Ling Han had treated you all these years." Hearing this, the panic in Xiao Dong's eyes dissipated a little. He gritted his teeth and said, "Sister Yin Yen, I will help you. It was just a matter of bringing someone into the conference room during the annual meeting. What was so difficult about that?" The next day at 7:30 p.m., Lanjiang City International Hotel. There was a long red carpet at the entrance of Pleasure International Hotel to welcome all the directors and directors who had flown back from all over the world. All the actors and actresses in Pleasure International Hotel were there, and the lights were on. There were lots of reporters. Yi Huanyan sat in the Bentley and said to Xiao Dong, "Don't be nervous. Just follow Xiao Dong in. You only need to point out the person who threw the phone into the rubbish bin." Song Xiaobo nodded and fidgeted with his hands on his knees. He was still very nervous. He was a person who had not seen many grand occasions. Today's meeting was only because of Yi Huanyan's persuasion. She even used Gu Min to threaten and tempt him before he agreed to come. Su Hong was not joking when she said he was autistic. Yi Huanyan had an invitation letter and entered through the main entrance. The moment she stepped on the red carpet, she was the center of attention. Although it was not officially announced, Haiyan Media and Pleasure International Hotel had frequent dealings with each other. This manager Gu from Haiyan Media should be the future lady boss of Pleasure International Hotel. It was just that this time, when she appeared alone, the reporters were all confused. Many people pointed their microphones at her and asked her why Ling Han didn't appear with her. Of course, Yi Huanyan kept her mouth shut. Soon security guards came to separate the reporters. She hurriedly posed for a few photos and entered the hall. When she entered the hall, she saw Ji Xiaoya surrounded by people. Yi Huanyan looked around her and did not see Gu Xinian. Ji Xiaoya clearly saw her too. She said something to the crowd and Dress walked out from the crowd with a worried look on her face. "I thought you weren't coming." She pulled Yi Huanyan to a corner. "When I left the Four Seasons Villa 2 days ago, I heard your brother talking to Dad. He said he had sent people to do a thorough search in Los Angeles." Ji Xiaoya was very busy because of the Fengshang charity banquet. After leaving the Four Seasons Villa 2 days ago, she flew straight to Paris. She was so busy that she did not even have time to look for Gu Xinian. "I don't know how the investigation is going. I haven't asked him yet. I've been so busy these past 2 days. My brother didn't come with you? He's busy. He has to deal with the company, and Dad asked him to find Ling Han. Both of them are more important than accompanying me to this kind of banquet. Ji Xiaoya took 2 glasses of champagne from the waiter's tray and handed one to Yi Huanyan. Ling Han definitely won't come tonight. How are we going to open the banquet later? Wait and see. Someone will find a way to open the banquet. Yi Huanyan took the glass of champagne and drank it in one gulp. Then she slowly exhaled. I don't think it will be peaceful tonight. What are you going to do? Ji Xiaoye realized that something was wrong and hurriedly asked. Yi Huanyan briefly explained her plan. When she said that she was going to rush to the pleasure banquet and accuse the Wen father and son of colluding with Qiao Mingsheng, Ji Xiaoye's face turned pale. You're too impulsive. We haven't found out the truth yet. Are you so sure that Qiao Mingsheng will come? Also, will it be useful for you to accuse the Wen father and son? It's not safe. What if they run away? I'll ask Gu Min to prepare outside and call the police when it's time. Yi Huanyan looked certain. I can't wait any longer. I must find out where they took Ling Han tonight. No, I still think it's too risky. I'll call Xin Yin. With that said, Ji Xiaoya put down her glass, opened her bag, took out her phone and dialed a number. There was a busy tone on the other end of the phone. She frowned and hung up. She was about to call again when Yi Huanyan stopped her. Even if my brother knows, he won't be able to rush over now. As long as we find a way to control Umbo, everything will be fine. I have the recording of his son's slip of the tongue. Let's lock them up at the police station first. The more confident Yi Huanyan was, the more uneasy Ji Xiaoye felt. She felt that Yi Huanyan's plan was full of loopholes. She was anxious and desperate. In this situation, she would only alert the enemy. Even if the police came, they wouldn't have enough reason to arrest Umbo. Yin Yan, think about it again. I saw Qiao Mingsheng. Ji Xiaoye followed Yi Huanyan's gaze. In the corner of the booth, a man wearing a black top hat was talking to Umbo. It was the former director of Pleasure Banquet, Qiao Mingsheng, who had disappeared for many years. Chapter 450. Umbo opened the champagne at the annual meeting. He stood on the stage in high spirits, looking like a villain who had been plotting for a long time. President Ling has a special situation today, so he doesn't have time to attend the annual meeting. Please don't mind him. I apologize on his behalf. Someone in the audience jeered. What do you mean? We were invited to the annual meeting, but President Ling didn't come himself. His time is his time, but our time isn't? With a smile on his face, Wenbo explained unhurriedly. Isn't this the news? Everyone should have heard that our President Ling's wedding is coming soon. Recently he really can't get away. Everyone laughed as well, and some of them looked at Yi Huanyan with unreadable meaning. Umbo gave an impassioned speech, and his saliva flew everywhere on the stage. He looked like a national leader. Who knew how many times he had prepared this speech in private? When he finally finished, he signaled his assistant with his eyes and walked toward the lounge. The directors were notified one after another, and they all went to the lounge. The year-end board meeting was an important annual meeting that gathered all the directors from all over the country. It was a summary of the entire year, and it was also a review of the company's managers by the board of directors. Yi Huanyan put down her wine glass, lifted her skirt, and blended in with the crowd. Everyone knew her relationship with Ling Han. Previously, when Ling Han wanted to transfer his shares, it had caused quite a stir in the board of directors, so the security guard at the door didn't stop her. He just looked at her in surprise and seemed to be a little hesitant. Yi Huanyan raised her chin and glanced at him arrogantly. The security guard swallowed the words he wanted to say. After entering the lounge, Yi Huanyan went straight to the bathroom, locked the door, and hid behind the door to listen to the contents of the meeting. Umbo, as the second in command of the company, was making small talk before the meeting. It was all trivial talk. After some time, he seemed to have distributed something to the directors present, and his tone suddenly became serious. Everyone knows that President Ling is my nephew, but business is business, and personal is personal. Compared to last year's profit, This year's profit is not satisfactory. In addition, President Ling has been more and more inattentive to the company's affairs recently. Under such circumstances, the board of directors can even propose to dismiss him. But he is my nephew after all, so I can only criticize him as a member of the board of directors. I will record it down and wait for him to see it when he comes back. Everyone was discussing animatedly. Someone said, during the video conference in the middle of the year, President Ling proposed to transfer his shares to his fiancée. I was very dissatisfied with this. After that, even though President Ling didn't insist on it, I don't think he gave up on this idea. This idea is very dangerous. It's not that he doesn't know how big of an impact a casual transfer of shares will have on the stock price of pleasure. He's really been blinded by women. The second daughter of the Gu family is married, right? I heard that she even has a child. Isn't this handing over the pleasure to someone else? That's right, that's right. In an instant, there was an uproar in the discussion. A voice emerged from the crowd. I think it's time to propose a dismissal to warn President Ling. This time, he didn't even attend the annual meeting. This voice was very unfamiliar. Yi Huanyan thought carefully in her mind and realized that it didn't match any of the directors present. How did you come in? You are? There was suddenly a commotion in the lounge outside the door. Yi Huanyan opened the door slightly and saw Qiao Mingsheng. She walked to Umbo's side and slammed a document in her hand on the table. President Ling is so inattentive to the company. This dismissal should have been proposed a long time ago. Qiao Mingsheng, didn't you sell your shares and leave pleasure long ago? Who let you in? Qiao Mingsheng's voice was very low. Yes, I left for many years, but my heart has always been in Pleasure Group. Pleasure seems to have grown a lot in the past few years. But do you know the real reason why Ling Han wants to transfer his huge shares to Gu Huanyan? What? All the directors looked at each other. You know Gu Corporation, right? They seem to be interested in buying Pleasure Group. Everyone was in an uproar. How is that possible? That won't do. If President Ling agrees, I will sign this dismissal case. A stone stirred up 1,000 ripples. Yi Huanyan couldn't help but admire Qiao Mingsheng's ability to incite people. She knew that if she didn't go out now, the entire Pleasure Group would change hands, not to mention Ling Han's safety. Bang! The door of the washroom was violently pulled open and smashed against the wall, attracting the attention of everyone at the conference table. Yi Huanyan walked out in a luxurious purple evening dress. She clapped her hands and said with a smile, Mr. Qiao, you are really eloquent. If I were not one of the parties involved in the acquisition that you mentioned, I would really believe you. Who are you? Qiao Mingsheng's face darkened, and he stared at her unhappily. This is a private meeting of Pleasure Group. Who let you in? Where is the security? You also said that this is a private meeting. How did you get in? Yi Huanyan's gaze landed on Umbo. You proposed the dismissal case and incited all the directors to sign it. What's the next step? Are you going to recommend President One to be the next president? You guys are really good at putting on a show. The directors couldn't stop whispering to each other. It seemed that Yi Huanyan's words had brought them back to their senses. They all began to re-examine the purpose of Qiao Mingsheng's sudden appearance. Miss Gu, this is a private matter of Pleasure Group. It's better for you to leave. Umbo's face turned pale, but he suppressed his anger and tried to speak to Yi Huanyan in a pleasant manner. Yi Huanyan didn't buy it. You guys secretly held a meeting when Ling Han wasn't around. You want me to leave? If I leave, who will expose your true colors? President Wen, do you really think that you can hide the fact that you kidnapped Ling Han? As soon as she finished speaking, the door of the meeting room burst open. 7 or 8 police officers broke through the door and surrounded the entire meeting table. Don't move. The directors all had looks of disbelief on their faces. A few of them had already cried out in alarm. Umbo's face stiffened. Miss Gu, what do you mean by this? You won't give up until you see the coffin, right? Yi Huanyan flipped open her phone and tried to find Wen Siyuan's recording. President Ling. Someone cried out in alarm. Everyone's eyes landed on the door of the meeting room. Yi Huanyan's hand trembled and she looked up. The figure who walked in from the door was tall, and had an imposing appearance. His face was a little pale, and there was a coldness between his brows that could not be dispersed all year round. He walked into the meeting room and glanced at everyone with an indifferent expression. "Everyone, I'm sorry for being late." Chapter 451. The police officers surrounding the conference table were all confused and looked in the direction of Yi Huanyan. "Ling Han!" Yi Huanyan exclaimed and looked at him in disbelief. She didn't come back to her senses for a long time. Why did he come back by himself? While she was in a daze, the leading police officer walked up to Ling Han and asked hesitantly, "Mr. Ling Han, we received a report that you have been kidnapped." "You are kidnapped?" Ling Han frowned. "Maybe I have been away from the company for too long and caused some unnecessary misunderstandings. Sorry to trouble you." It's okay as long as you are fine." The police officer waved his hand. "How about this? Since you want to have a meeting, we won't disturb you. After the meeting, can we trouble you to come to our police station to make a statement? After all, if someone reported a case, we have to have a record of the conclusion of the case." "Okay." Ling Han nodded slightly. After the 7 or 8 police officers left, the conference room suddenly became much emptier. Yi Huanyan stood in place, somewhat at a loss. Ling Han's sudden return was completely unexpected. "You can go out first." Ling Han glanced at her and walked to her side. Yi Huanyan hesitated for a few seconds, nodded, and turned to walk out of the conference room. Behind her was Ling Han's calm and serious voice as usual. "The year-end board meeting is such an important occasion. No matter what important things there are, I should come back to attend. I just came a little late. I wonder what the directors have to say about my work. I am all ears." After walking out of the conference room, a familiar voice sounded, breaking her contemplation about Ling Han's return. "Long time no see, my sister." Yi Huanyan's heart skipped a beat. Gu Duo was wearing a loose, strapless black dress, revealing a pair of slender, fair calves. She was wearing a pair of 13 centimeters high heels. She was leaning against the door frame, looking at her with a faint smile. "Why are you here?" "I personally sent my sister's fiancé back, and you're asking me why I'm here? What do you mean?" Yi Huanyan's expression tightened. "Why? Don't you already know? Here." Gu Duo lowered her head and stroked her lower abdomen with one hand. "But I'm pregnant with brother-in-law's child." Yi Huanyan's face stiffened. Only then did she realize that Gu Duo's lower abdomen was indeed bulging. However, her skirt was loose. If she hadn't put her hand on her lower abdomen, it would have been almost impossible to see it. "Impossible?" Yi Huanyan stared at her stomach. "You're really pregnant. Didn't you see the photos? He's not your brother's child. Why would I lie to you? What are you trying to do?" Yi Huanyan didn't believe a word that didn't come out of Ling Han's mouth. Her intuition told her that Gu Duo must be up to no good if she suddenly appeared here after disappearing for 3 months. "What else can I do? Do you think I want to snatch your husband away from you?" Gu Duo supported her waist and stood up straight from the door frame. She looked coldly at Yi Huanyan. "Are you very nervous now?" Yi Huanyan clenched her fingers. She knew that Gu Duo was deliberately provoking her. She took a deep breath and said expressionlessly, "You're not interested in Ling Han. Don't beat around the bush with me. What tricks do you want to play this time? If you're here for my brother, then let me tell you something. My brother is already married. You don't have a chance." Hearing this, Gu Duo's face turned green. "Yi Huanyan, don't be so ungrateful. If you beg me now, I may return the man you've been longing for to you. Don't be ignorant of your situation. I'm in a better situation than you are now." Yi Huanyan glanced at her belly and said coldly, "Don't think that you can blame Ling Han for the child you got from nowhere. There are many ways to do it these days, whether it's an amniocentesis or a paternity test after birth." While they were talking, the door of the conference room opened, interrupting their conversation. The directors who attended the meeting came out one after another. Umbo and Xiao Mingxing were at the end of the line. They were looking down and saying something to Ling Han. Ling Han looked indifferent. The 3 of them walked out side by side. Yi Huanyan was anxious. She wanted to remind Ling Han that the father and son of the Wen family were playing tricks behind the scenes, but Gu Duo beat her to it. Let's go. There are too many people here. I want to go back. Gu Duo held Ling Han's arm and looked at Yi Huanyan defiantly. Ling Han glanced at Yi Huanyan, pulled his hand away and said seriously, "The driver is outside. You go first. I have something to say to Yin Yan." Gu Duo raised her eyebrows and smiled thoughtfully. "I respect any decision you make." There was no one in the lounge. Ling Han turned around and opened the door. "Come in and talk. Is Umbo and his son involved in your disappearance?" Yi Huanyan asked directly as soon as they entered the room. Ling Han frowned. "It doesn't matter. You're being paranoid. I didn't go missing. I just lost my phone." "Then tell me where you were during this time." Yi Huanyan clenched her fingers. "In Los Angeles." Ling Han was still frowning. "That's impossible. My brother searched all over Los Angeles and couldn't find you at all." "You?" Yi Huanyan suddenly remembered that Gu Duo had appeared with him. She paused and her tone was full of disbelief. "You can't be you and her, She was pregnant." Ling Han took over the conversation and explained. Yi Huanyan's body swayed and her face turned pale. "Are you saying that you and her really slept with each other?" Ling Han didn't respond and seemed to admit it. Yi Huanyan held onto the chair and felt a sharp pain in her heart. "Tell me what happened." "Before we went to Las Vegas, I drank too much that night. When I woke up, I was in the hotel and she was there too." Ling Han's face was pale. "That was the only time I thought she was you." The last line of defense in Yi Huanyan's heart finally collapsed. She felt like something was stuck in her throat, and she couldn't say anything for a long time. She had been in fear for so many days and tried her best to find out who had kidnapped him, why he had gone missing, and if he was still alive. But now he suddenly appeared and told her that he hadn't gone missing at all. It was because of a one-night stand that he had to stay at the woman's house in Los Angeles for so long. "So, do you have anything else to say to me now?" Yi Huanyan struggled to support herself and looked up at him. Her voice was full of bitterness. "I'll take care of it. Trust me, Yin Yan." There was a long silence in the lounge. Yi Huanyan left in a hurry. Her voice was full of fatigue, helplessness, and even compromise. "Okay, I believe you. 6 years of waiting. And this was the result." She couldn't blame anyone. She could blame Ling Han for drinking that night, blame Gu Duo for looking too much like her in the past, blame her for not getting back together with Ling Han sooner, or blame fate for playing tricks on her and hitting the jackpot just once. She couldn't blame anyone. Before she went to Las Vegas, she and Ling Han were in a state of breaking up. It was their right to seek their own pleasure. Chapter 452. The annual meeting ended when the clock struck 12. When Yi Huanyan returned to the apartment, Song Xiaobo had already returned. He was wearing the waiter's vest that he had not had time to change out of. He and Naanea were each holding a laptop and tapping on it. Secretary Dong sent him back. She said that they don't need him anymore. Gu Min stood up and hurriedly explained. Yi Huanyan nodded. She forced a smile and closed the bedroom door. In the hotel apartment, Ling Han closed the door. When he glanced at the comfortable figure on the sofa, his eyes turned cold. "How was it? How was the talk with my good sister?" "I will give you what you want. I hope you can keep your promise and let Gu Sinian go." "If I were you, I wouldn't worry about Gu Sinian. After all, he is the most important person in my life. How could I bear to hurt him?" Gu Duo stood up from the sofa. Her plush slippers stepped on the floor and her steps were heavy. "You really don't care about the child in my belly at all. He is your child. Aren't you a little too heartless?" Ling Han's face was as cold as ice. "You can make any request. I will not acknowledge this child. Abort it or raise it yourself. It's up to you." Gu Duo's eyes froze. Her voice was tinged with hatred. "You are really cold. Compared to Gu Sinian, you are even worse." Ling Han's expression did not change. "I have already signed the share transfer agreement. After the lawyer notarizes it, all the shares will be transferred to Umbo's name. After Gu Sinian is released, we will never see each other again." "Why?" Gu Duo sneered. Are you so anxious to cut ties with me? Are you afraid that I and this child will come between you and Yi Huanyan? I'm afraid that even if I'm easy to negotiate with, the two from the Four Seasons Manor won't be easy to negotiate with. Do you really think that you and Yi Huanyan can go back to how they were before just because you sent me away? This is between me and her. Do you think she really forgave you? Even if she forgave you, would she be together with a cripple? Gu Duo's eyes swept over Ling Han's slightly trembling legs. The effect of the drug is about to wear off. Can you still stand? As soon as he finished speaking, the tall figure slowly collapsed in the living room and appeared in a kneeling position. His pale face was full of pain. He looked in the direction of Gu Duo, but his eyes were full of sarcasm. He gritted his teeth and said, "No wonder Gu Xinian doesn't like you." His words touched Gu Duo's sore spot. Her expression suddenly changed. She picked up the ashtray on the coffee table and threw it in his direction. She roared, "You don't have the right to talk." In the dim light, a muffled groan sounded particularly painful. The ashtray fell to the ground and broke into pieces. Blood dripped from Ling Han's forehead down his cheeks and dripped onto the floor. It was bright and dazzling. Gu Duo's emotions were probably stimulated by the blood. She clenched her fingers and trembled for a while. She suddenly calmed down and looked at Ling Han, who fell to the ground and couldn't get up. She sneered, "Why should I be angry with a cripple like you? Just wait. After I get what I want, you will never see me again." Ling Han covered his forehead. Blood seeped through the gaps between his fingers and stained his hand with blood. He tried to move, but his legs didn't have any other reaction except for twitching. After soaking in the cold pool for a whole week, the blood circulation in his legs was blocked. He could only rely on temporary stimulation drugs to maintain normal walking. Gu Duo was right. Without those drugs, he was now no different from a cripple. What right did he have to be with her like this? Haiyan Media's penthouse apartment. Since returning, Yi Huanyan had locked herself in the room. The whole room was dark. She hugged the quilt and looked at the little stars outside the window in a daze. An unexpected child. Such an explanation was too weak. It was understandable, but not tenable. Yi Huanyan didn't think that she was an unreasonable person, but she couldn't get over this hurdle in her heart. The child was his blood, and Naanea wouldn't be his only child. How could she accept that he had such intimate contact with another woman, and even had a child? The sudden blow caused her mind to be in chaos. She had no time to think about the matter between the father and son of the Wen family. She also had no time to analyze the loopholes in Ling Han's explanation that could be seen through at a glance. Why didn't he replace his phone with a new one? Was it possible that he had disappeared for a week without contacting anyone? On the other hand, Ji Xiaoya got into the car after leaving the venue of the annual gala. She called Gu Xinian over and over again, but no one answered the phone. "Chief editor, do we go back to the hotel directly or?" Ji Xiaoya held the phone and pondered for a moment. "Go to Haiyan Media." She knew from the beginning that Gu Xinian was investigating Ling Han's disappearance. But now that Ling Han suddenly appeared with Gu Duo, and Gu Xinian's phone couldn't be reached, she just called Gu Xinian's phone, and also got a busy tone. Her intuition told her that something might have happened. Gu Duo's target had always been Gu Xinian. She knew this better than anyone else. It wasn't that she hadn't done things like creating a diversion. She was a little anxious. Even though she knew that Gu Xinian might be too busy to call, she still went to Haiyan Media directly to ask Gu Minji Xiaoya, knocked on Yi Huanyan's door, and turned on the lights. The person on the bed shrank back, as if she couldn't bear the glaring light for a moment. "Yin Yin." Ji Xiaoya frowned and looked at the woman lying on the bed. She hadn't even changed out of her gown or removed her makeup. Her expression froze slightly. "What's wrong with you?" The person on the bed turned over and said in a muffled voice, "Nothing. It's so late. Why are you here?" Ji Xiaoya then remembered the reason why she was here. "I couldn't get through to your brother's phone, and neither could Gu Lu. That's why I'm here to look for Gu Min. I want to see if he can get in touch with Gu Lu." Yi Huanyan sat up from the bed and looked like she had lost her soul. "My brother should be at the villa. Just ask Gu Min to call his subordinates and we'll know." Ji Xiaoya nodded. I've already asked Gu Min to contact him. But are you okay? She only found out about Yi Huanyan's departure from the annual gala later on. Unfortunately, she couldn't leave at the moment, so she only found out about what had happened at the gala after asking around. So what did Ling Han say to you? Did he explain why you were missing during this period of time? Yi Huanyan's eyes dimmed. She sat by the bed and took a deep breath. He said that he wasn't missing. He just lost his phone. For the past 2 days, he has been dealing with Gu Duo and the child in her belly. He lives in Los Angeles. Gu Duo's biological parents lived in Los Angeles. That child, he admitted it. He said that it was his. Chapter 453. F***CK. Ji Xiaoya's expression completely fell. She asked in disbelief, "Is it really his?" Yi Huanyan nodded. "Xiaoyu, I'm a little tired." Ji Xiaoya's mind worked quickly and she looked puzzled. "That's not right. If he didn't go missing, then why did you ask Su Hong to go to Tahiti to get in touch with Wen Siyuan? Also, the portrait that Xiaobo drew was clearly Qiao Mingsheng. Didn't Ling Han explain anything? I'm just being paranoid. The Wen father and son are unlucky to have bumped into the muzzle of a gun. Maybe they just want to take advantage of Ling Han's absence to usurp the throne. They probably have nothing to do with Ling Han's disappearance." Ji Xiaoya frowned. She felt that there was something wrong with these words. Didn't the recording say that? The sound of the door opening interrupted Ji Xiaoya's question, followed by Gu Min's exclamation. "Sister Xiaoyu, my brother said that the young master is missing." Gu Xinian had gone missing the night before. The night he told Gu Heng that he would personally go to Los Angeles to investigate Ling Han's whereabouts. He disappeared into thin air from the Four Seasons villa. Gu Heng and Wen Yi personally led people to search the entire Four Seasons villa, but they couldn't find a trace of him. When Ji Xiaoya called Gu Lu, he was holding a walkie-talkie and searching for Gu Xinian all over the mountain. How can a person go missing just like that? Ji Xiaoya widened her eyes in disbelief. Yi Huanyan clenched her fists. "Gu Min, book a ticket. I want to go back to the villa." In the living room of the East Court of the Four Seasons villa, Yi Huanyan had not seen her parents for only a few days. When she saw them again, she felt that they had become much older, especially Wen Yi. After searching for 2 days and 1 night, she finally fainted from exhaustion. When Yi Huanyan arrived home, the doctor had just come. There was an infusion bottle hanging beside the bed. "Your mother is fine. You don't have to worry." Gu Heng called them to the living room with a frown on his face. "The villa is too big. Looking for a person is like looking for a needle in a haystack." She refused to listen to my advice and brought people to search half of the villa. "It's inevitable that she's tired. Don't worry, it's good to let her sleep for a while." After speaking, Gu Heng scanned the people in the living room before her gaze finally landed on Yi Huanyan. "Where's Naneo?" Xiao took him to bed. "He's still jet-lagged, so it's time for him to sleep." Chen Yin came back with Yi Huanyan. Among the sisters, Chen Yin was the most free. Su Hong and the others discussed and let Chen Yin be the representative to help. Gu Ming nodded. "That's good too. Don't let a child get involved in adult matters." Yi Huanyan frowned. "Dad, are there any clues?" Gu Heng looked worried and said in a low voice. When An Yen left the East Court that night, he only said that he was going to Los Angeles the next day. It was too late, and there weren't many people in the villa. We only saw him going up the mountain, and then he disappeared. "Are there any records of him going out to sea?" "No." It was Gu Lu who spoke. "Other than Westgate Beach, there are no records of him going out to sea." I also asked Dong Na about Westgate. She said that there was nothing unusual there as usual. "Then what should we do?" Ji Xiaoya looked anxious. From the moment Gu Min received the phone call and barged into Yi Huanyan's room, to the moment she came back from the plane and took the ferry, she looked very worried. Now her face was pale and she didn't look good. "Xiaoyu, don't worry." Yi Huanyan comforted her in a low voice. "Maybe my brother didn't go missing. Maybe he will show up tomorrow." Gu Heng had also heard about what happened to Ling Han. Hearing this, he glanced at Yi Huanyan and said in a low voice, "You don't have to worry about nothing. From tomorrow onwards, Each of you will take a group of people and search the entire island. Gulu, mark the places that have been searched on the map, and then assign the remaining places to them. We will start searching tomorrow. Although the entire island was within the Four Seasons villa, it was too big. The residential area that was usually used didn't even occupy a quarter of the area. Only 2 of the 4 gates were used, so even if it was confirmed that Gu Xinian went missing on the island, it would take a lot of time and effort to find him. Madam has already split up with us to search the coast of the southeast corner of the island. We are basically sure that young master hasn't been there. To avoid missing anything, I will start searching from there tomorrow morning. As for young madam and second miss, each of you will take a group of people to search the forest in the east and the south pier. We will meet at the bamboo forest in the evening. Gulu had a map of the surroundings of the Four Seasons villa in his hand. The areas that were circled were waiting to be searched, and the areas that were marked with 5 pointed stars were areas that had already been searched. Yi Huanyan pointed to an empty area on the west coast and asked, "Why aren't we searching here?" "That's the undeveloped coast. Other than Dan Na's cabin, the mountains on the coast are all covered with bushes. It's very difficult to walk, so most people wouldn't go there. Is it possible that my brother went there?" I checked the video from Dan Na. There is only one gate that leads to the coast. Young master didn't go to the west gate that night. Yi Huanyan nodded. "Okay, then we will follow your original plan. Gu Min will follow Xiaoyu, and Chen Yin will follow me. We will each lead a team and start searching tomorrow morning." There were many wild animals in the isolated mountains outside the Four Seasons villa. Generally without protection, the people in the villa didn't dare to go up the mountains casually. Therefore, even if Yi Huanyan and Ji Xiaoya were going to lead a team to search, they had to have someone by their side to protect them. At night, Ji Xiaoya and Chen Yin both stayed in Yi Huanyan's west court. The 3 of them lay on a 2-meter-wide bed. Except for Chen Yin, the others were all frowning. "Stop sighing. If you don't sleep tonight, how will you have the strength to search for him tomorrow? And this time, it should be much faster than looking for Ling Han. At least we know that he went missing in the villa. Maybe he went up the mountain to do something, but he got injured and was trapped in the mountain." Chen Yin couldn't stand the 2 of them looking sad and tried to persuade them. "It's our own home. What could happen?" Yi Huanyan knew that her mood affected Chen Yin. She frowned and swallowed the sigh that she was about to sigh. "I just feel that there have been too many things happening recently. Wave after wave, I just feel uneasy." Ji Xiaoya nodded. "I noticed it too. Why are all these things squeezed together? By the way, have you told Ling Han about what happened at home?" Hearing this, Yi Huanyan's expression froze and she shook her head. Ling Han was too busy dealing with the illegitimate child. So how could he have the time to care about the Four Seasons villa? Moreover, she was very conflicted and didn't have the mood to think about Ling Han's matter. For a moment, she was even very grateful that when Ling Han's matter happened, there was another matter that could completely divert her attention. She could avoid it for a while. Chapter 454. The next day, Yi Huanyan took Chen Yin up the mountain from the South Gate Pier and began to conduct a thorough search. Gulu assigned 20 people to her, all of whom were usually trained security guards of the villa. Compared to the professional bodyguards outside, they were no worse. Brother Gulu said that there are wild boars in the mountain, so he asked me to be careful. "Don't worry. Before the wild boar gets close to you, those people will beat it down. You can carry the wild boar back to eat it tonight." Yi Huanyan held a special scanner in her hand and pushed aside the very lush grass while answering Chen Yin's various questions casually. It was Chen Yin's first time coming to the Four Seasons villa, so she was inevitably curious. Due to the low pressure, she didn't talk much. Yi Huanyan didn't want her to be worried with her, so she always maintained a calm look in front of her, as if Gu Xinyan's disappearance in the villa was just a normal thing. And all the people in the villa behaved the same in front of Ji Xiaoya. In order to comfort Ji Xiaoya, when they came out in the morning, when he even told a lie, she said that the island was big, so it wasn't a big deal to be trapped in the mountain every few days. It was just that Gu Xinian wasn't a child, so this kind of thing was relatively rare. She also said that the longest time Gu Xinian was trapped in the mountain when he was a child was a week, and nothing happened to him. She didn't know how much Ji Xiaoye understood, but when they separated in front of the gate, Yi Huanyan still felt that she was absent-minded. Chen Yin stood on the hillside and looked into the distance. It's been so cold recently. The wild boars and the like should be hibernating. There are volcanoes nearby, and there are many hot springs below. The season here is not the same as outside, and some places haven't reached the time of hibernation yet. Didn't they say that the west gate doesn't go out to sea? Why is there a boat docked there? Chen Yin shaded her eyes with her hand. Her eyesight had always been better than others. Looking down from the hillside, she saw a small boat on the beach at the west gate, rocking in the waves. She didn't hear a response for a long time. She turned around and didn't know when Yi Huanyan had left with the rest of the group. Chen Yin shouted anxiously, "Wait for me." He hurriedly chased after her. In the cave of the west coast, the cold air was oppressive, and the sound of water dripping could be heard continuously. The clanking sound of the iron chains reverberated in the cave. The sound was deafening. Gu Xinian's mouth was taped, but he still had amazing strength. After the men in black were pushed and staggered, one of them got up from the ground while gasping for breath. "Where's the medicine you brought? Give him an injection. Miss said not to hurt him." "It's just an injection. It won't get in the way. He won't be addicted. If he behaves, we can get him safely away." Another man hesitated for a long time. He glanced at the man, who was still struggling in the water prison, and finally nodded. "Okay, go ahead." After a muffled groan, Gu Xinian fell into a state of confusion. The strength in his limbs was almost instantly depleted. He could only be carried out of the cave by 2 men and transported to a speedboat. The speedboat parted the sea in the night, and the waves crashed as it moved towards the small island in the distance. After a whole day of searching, they didn't find a single clue. Gulu looked at the map that was almost filled with pentagrams, and his face was full of worry. There's only the west coast left to search. Yi Huanyan glanced at the only blank area on the map, the west coast, and frowned. "Why aren't we searching the west coast?" Chen Yin's voice suddenly interrupted. Yi Huanyan was slightly stunned. He remembered that when they talked about the west coast last night, Chen Yin wasn't present. He patiently explained, "There's only one gatekeeper, Dana. The beach is undeveloped. There's no sand, only muddy roads. The hillside is full of bushes. It's difficult to go in or out, so my brother has no reason to go there." "No one." Chen Yin touched his chin thoughtfully. "But I saw a boat on the beach in the afternoon on the hillside. It seemed to be a speedboat. Is it Dana's boat?" Yi Huanyan's face stiffened. "What did you say?" Seeing that everyone's eyes suddenly fell on her, Chen Yin was so scared that her eyes narrowed. "Well, what's wrong? Did I say something wrong? Dana was in her 80s this year. How could she drive a speedboat?" There was indeed something wrong with the west coast. When Yi Huanyan and Ji Xiaoye arrived, Gulu had already found the hidden cave. On the walls of the cave, there were candles that had just been extinguished. The wax was still warm. "Young master stayed here before." Gulu handed a gun in his hand to Ji Xiaoye. Ji Xiaoye exclaimed, "It's Xin Yin's gun." Standing at the entrance of the cave, it was already brightly lit by the people who had rushed over. Gu Ling was also among them. After looking around outside, he walked into the cave. Gulu squatted down to check the footprints on the road leading to the beach. They should have just left in the evening. The footprints are still very fresh. If it's past high tide, you won't be able to see them. Why is there a cave here? Yi Huanyan looked at the dilapidated iron door in disbelief. It should have been left here by the previous owner. Gu Ling walked out of the cave, a trace of worry on his weathered face. This is a water prison. It should be a place used to imprison slaves. I don't know how many generations of owners there were, but this place was abandoned. The West Coast has been a place where slaves lived for hundreds of years. It's located in a remote area. When I bought this island back then, I had the intention to develop the West Coast. But at that time, you were coincidentally in the country and were taken away from the hospital. After that, I didn't have the mood to do anything and just left it abandoned. Someone took advantage of this opportunity. Gu Ling's tone was full of frustration. Yi Huanyan quickly comforted him. Dad, this isn't your fault. We still don't know who trapped my brother here. If someone really wanted to, they would have dug out a cave even if there wasn't one. Sir, we've brought Dana here. As they spoke, Gu Lu's men had already escorted an old lady to the entrance of the cave. They pushed her very roughly onto the muddy beach. The old lady let out a muffled groan and lay motionless on the ground. When we arrived, she was erasing the footage on the beach. Only the footage of those people leaving with young master was saved. Dana, why did you do this? Gu Ling stood in front of him with a gloomy expression. What are you unhappy about? Why did you harm my son? Dana was an old lady with a head of silver hair. She trembled as she raised her head and stared at Gu Ling for a long time. Tui! Suddenly he spat at Gu Heng. His eyes were filled with hatred as he cursed in fluent English. Gu Heng, you're a piece of trash. It's not just your son. I want to see your wife, your daughter, and your daughter-in-law die with my own eyes. After they die, they'll go to hell just like you. Chapter 455. Yi Huanyan stared blankly at the old lady, who was lying on the ground like a giant caterpillar wrapped in a sleeveless jacket. She was cursing her own father viciously. Gu Heng didn't even bat an eyelid. He stared at her condescendingly. You still can't get over what happened that year. Laura's death was an accident. Shut up. The old lady shouted, her pair of skinny hands almost pouncing on Gu Heng. Yi Huanyan subconsciously pulled on Gu Heng's sleeve, wanting to pull him back. Gu Heng gave her a comforting look, and she retracted her hand. Yin Yin, you don't have to worry about this matter. Take Xiaoyu back to rest first. Yi Huanyan hesitantly looked at Ji Xiaoya, asking for her opinion. After all, she was in such a hurry that she probably wouldn't leave easily. Xiaoyu, let's go. Ji Xiaoya gritted her teeth and agreed very quickly. The situation in front of them was obviously a grudge from the previous generation. They were here to add to the chaos and watch the show, but they couldn't help in any way. She even heaved a sigh of relief. After all, in the video that Gu Lu's men had saved, it could prove that Gu Xinian was still alive. He was safe and sound, but he was brought onto a boat by two men and sent to an unknown place. If their purpose was to kill Gu Xinian, they didn't have to go through so much trouble. After walking for a long time, they vaguely heard the old lady's heart-wrenching voice on the beach. Gu Heng, how can a person like you live? My Laura, my innocent and kind daughter, had to die for a person like you. This is simply unfair. Who is Laura? Chunin asked. Yi Huanyan shrugged. Dana's daughter. I'm not too sure. I don't spend much time in the villa. I guess only my brother knows about this matter. Ji Xiaoya, who had been silent all this time, suddenly sighed. Her expression was gloomy. I heard from Xinian that Laura took a bullet for Dad in a gunfight in South Africa and died. Yi Huanyan widened her eyes in astonishment. Moreover, the origin of the gunfight was because of a rare diamond. At that time, the diamond was in Mom's hands. Dad was trying to protect her, but in the end, he didn't expect Laura to save him. Chunin coughed dryly. So Laura and Mr. Gu. It's almost like what you think, a love triangle between the older generation. Laura is Dana's only daughter, and she grew up on the west coast of the island. Later, when Dad bought the island, he didn't develop the west coast. It wasn't only because Yin Yin disappeared, but also because Dana didn't agree. Ji Xiaoya faintly turned her head to take a look. The lights on the shore reflected the light, and the crying voices were almost inaudible. The people of the Gu family are quite stubborn when it comes to relationships, and they hurt a lot of people. Yi Huanyan was slightly stunned. Hearing Ji Xiaoya's words, she felt very uncomfortable in her heart. She opened her mouth, but didn't know how to refute. She seemed to be right. The people of the Gu family were indeed stubborn when it came to relationships, and they did hurt a lot of people. Her father Gu Ming was like that, her brother Gu Xinian was like that. And wasn't she the same? And when it came to relationships, it was destined to hurt 10,000 people, and hurt 8,000 people. Thinking of this, she couldn't help but take out her phone and type a line of words on WeChat. After hesitating for a long time, she sent it over. How's the matter being handled? She had to give Ling Han a way out. Since it was just an accident, and since they were already lucky, then she was willing to share the consequences of this accident with him. Not long after, her phone vibrated. Ling Han replied on WeChat. Soon, in a few days. I'll look for you after I'm done and explain to uncle and auntie face to face. Yi Huanyan quickly typed a line of words. They're very busy with my brother's matter now, so they probably won't. Halfway through, she deleted each word and replaced it with a few simple words. Okay. In a villa on the top of a mountain in Los Angeles, a blindfolded man was handcuffed to the bed. The veins on his forehead were bulging, but he couldn't muster up any strength. Don't waste your energy, brother. A woman's voice came from the bathroom door. She was wearing a silk nightgown, and her graceful figure was faintly discernible. She walked barefoot to the side of the bed and ran her slender fingers across the man's chest. Brother, you never thought that this day would come, right? Gu Xinian glared at her, his face livid. The angrier you are, the happier I am. Gu Duo covered her mouth and laughed. Her eyes were full of madness. Her other hand held her lower abdomen. This is the child I plan to give birth to for you. Soon, I'll take you back to the Four Seasons Villa. Then, we'll live there forever with our child. After saying that, she raised her hand and pinched the edge of the tape by his mouth. Brother, if you behave, I'll tear it open. If you don't, I'll make sure you can't speak forever. After saying that, she tore the tape open with a tearing sound. A rectangular red mark was particularly obvious on Gu Xinian's handsome face. Gu Duo frowned and said unhappily, These damn people, they actually tied you up for so long. There's a mark now. After saying that, she touched his lips with her fingers, but he turned his head and avoided her. Lunatic. Gu Xinian spat out 2 words. His sharp eyes were full of disgust. Brother. Gu Duo's fingers that were hovering above his face gradually tightened. Her tone also darkened. Do you think that I'm disgusting? Do you think that I'm disgusting because I'm willing to do anything to get you? I've also thought about it. If I hadn't grown up in the Four Seasons Villa in this life, if I hadn't lived with you since I was a child, and if I hadn't become the respected eldest daughter of the Gu family, what would I be like? I've also thought about it. Furthermore, after that wedding in Las Vegas, where I spent so much effort in preparing for you, I also tried to do the same. I accepted my original identity and returned to my original seat. Gu Duo suddenly laughed. Her eyes were red. After falling from being the second daughter of the Gu family, I returned to my biological parents' side. There was no love or understanding. My biological parents were vain. They couldn't wait to tear apart their daughter and buy her to fill the empty shell company. Do you know what I went through? Gu Xinian frowned slightly, and the coldness in his eyes faded a little. Gu Duo took a deep breath and turned her head to look at the ceiling. Forget it, let's not talk about it anymore. It's all in the past anyway. For someone like me who was born to be someone else's replacement, no one will care about what kind of life I lead. So, I can only rely on myself for what I want. I'll do whatever it takes. Even if I have to go to hell, I'll drag you along with me. Her tone became more and more sinister, and her red eyes seemed to be stained with a bloody mist. It was terrifying. Chapter 456. Late at night, the sound of a phone ringing came from the head of the bed. It rang continuously for a long time. Yi Huanyan groped for the head of the bed in a daze. Hello? Sis, are you at the villa? You're Xiaochuan? Yi Huanyan yawned and said in a muffled voice. Of course I'm at the villa. Are you crazy in the middle of the night? Sis, I don't have time to talk to you now. I'll be at the South Pier in 10 minutes. Quickly ask Uncle Gu and Aunt Gu to pack up and leave the villa. The people from the United Nations Prosecutor's Office will surround the entire villa before dawn. You have to leave quickly. Are you talking in your sleep in the middle of the night? What nonsense are you talking about? Yi Chaochuan's voice suddenly became anxious. Sis, someone reported Uncle Gu for illegally selling military equipment at the border of the country. The evidence has been sent to the prosecutor's office. They want to arrest him now. Are you kidding me? Yi Huanyin yawned again. Are you saying that my father is selling military equipment at the border of the country? Is he crazy? Our family doesn't even have a branch in the country. Where did they find the evidence? Uncle Gu, did you invest in Huanyu Group before? Yi Chaochuan's tone was urgent. The person who reported Pleasure Group for illegally selling military equipment is Uncle Gu. Perhaps it was because Yi Huanyin didn't answer him. He finally couldn't help but say, "It was my father. I overheard it in the study. I heard my father say that he had already contacted the people from the prosecutor's office." Yi Huanyin suddenly woke up. What did you say? My father has already contacted the people from the prosecutor's office. We've discussed a surprise attack on the Four Seasons Villa tomorrow morning. When the time comes, we'll directly seal off all the piers. Quickly inform Uncle Gu and Aunt Gu. I'm almost at the South Pier. The sea breeze whistled, and a storm was coming. It seemed like it was going to swallow the entire Four Seasons Villa. Yi Huanyin did not even put on her clothes properly. She took the initiative to wake up Chen Yin and Ji Xiaoya, who were sleeping next door. After handing Naaneo to them, she stumbled to the east courtyard to wake up Gu Heng and Wen Yi. When the servant opened the door, Yi Huanyin's face was covered in rain, and her hair was a mess. She didn't even take off her shoes, and went straight up to the second floor. She knocked on the door of the master bedroom. Dad! Not long after, Gu Heng came to open the door with a coat draped over her shoulders. When she saw Yi Huanyin in such a sorry state, she frowned. What happened? Xiao Kun just told me on the phone that someone reported Gu Corporation for smuggling military weapons at the border. The people from the prosecutor's office will be here tomorrow morning, so Xiao Kun asked us to leave quickly. Gu Ling's face darkened. Xiao Kun told you? Yi Huanyin nodded repeatedly. After a few seconds of hesitation, she said, Uncle, he reported it. The He family and the Gu family have been friends for generations. Yi Chaochuan's father, He Xiao, and Gu Heng were best friends who had played together since they were young. Yi Huanyin felt that no one would believe her even if she said this. However, to Yi Huanyin's surprise, Gu Heng was exceptionally calm. She only nodded slightly. I understand. Dad. Yi Huanyin breathed a sigh of relief and said anxiously, Hurry up and wake Mom up. Let's go. Xiao Kun said that she has arranged a place for us to hide temporarily. You take Naaneo and leave first. I won't go. Gu Heng stood at the door with a determined expression. What's going to come has come. The door behind him suddenly opened, and Wen Yi's voice sounded. She was wearing a teddy bear pajamas, and she had a gentle expression on her face. You, don't worry, Yin Yen. We'll be fine. Wen Yi walked up to her, took off her vest and draped it over her shoulders. Leave this place with Xiao Kun. Take your friends and Xiao Yu with you. We'll take care of things here. We know what your uncle he wants. Mom, if possible, find a way to find your brother. He'll have a way. When he did not say too much, she quickly asked Gu Min to drive Yi Huanyin away. By the time Gu Min drove Yi Huanyin to the pier, it was almost midnight. Gu Lu had already sent the people from Shi Yuan to the boat, and was ready to return. The sea breeze gradually calmed down. After sending Yi Huanyin to the boat, Gu Min hurriedly drove back. Yi Chaochuan drove a medium-sized speedboat that could accommodate many people. Naaneo was nestled in Chen Yin's arms. He was still grumpy from being woken up. He frowned and stared blankly as the boat moved further and further away from the harbor. Mom and Dad aren't coming? Ji Xiaoya poked her head out from behind Chen Yin. She was shivering in her pajamas, probably because Chen Yin had urged her too much. She did not even change her clothes or take a jacket. Everything happened too quickly. Everything happened so suddenly that they were caught off guard. Yi Huanyin had thought that the recent events had piled up to the limit of pressure. However, life always liked to play tricks on you. One wave after another came. He's not coming. Mom's health is not good. It's too rushed. Dad said that he wants to talk to Uncle He. Yi Huanyin's eyes dimmed. When she mentioned Uncle He, her gaze fell on He Chaochuan, who was operating the cockpit at the front of the boat. He roughly adjusted the direction of the boat and turned around. He said angrily, Sisters, there are clothes under the cabin. Put on the life jackets too. I'm afraid that we won't have enough time later. and we'll run into the people from the prosecutor's office." The group of people hurriedly took out warm jackets and life jackets from under the cabin. There were a total of 5 people in the cabin, including He Chaochuan. Yi Huanyin and his mother, Chen Yin and Ji Xiaoya, Gu Min and his brother Gu Lu, stayed at the Four Seasons Villa to protect Wen Yi, so there were more than enough life jackets. "My dad won't make things too difficult for Uncle Gu." He Chaochuan did not have much confidence when he said this. "Don't explain. If it weren't for you," Ji Xiaoya interrupted him in annoyance. She was about to mock him, but Yi Huanyin beat her to it. "It's not easy for you to come. Don't blame yourself. There's no need to explain. That's between Uncle He and my parents. They will solve it themselves." Yi Chaochuan still had a bitter expression on his face. "I just found out about this. If I had known earlier, I would have thought of a way to remind you. My dad. There must be some misunderstanding between us." "What misunderstanding could there be?" Ji Xiaoya suddenly pulled off the life jacket that she had not put on properly and growled. First, Ling Han went missing. Then Xin Yin went missing. After that, he lured the tiger away from the mountain and eliminated all the foreign aid from the Gu family. Then he took the blame. Wasn't this your dad's plan? What else do you have to explain? The anger and worry that had accumulated over the past few days exploded in an instant. Chen Yin was carrying the child in her arms, so she could not hold down Ji Xiaoya at all. Yi Huanyin was sitting far away from her, so the moment she stood up, the entire speedboat shook nonstop. "Xiao Yu, hurry and sit down," everyone exclaimed. "Don't touch me." Ji Xiaoya swatted away He Chaochuan's hand, but due to inertia, she fell out of the cabin. "Xiao Yu," Yi Huanyin screamed, and the blood drained from her face. Everyone on the boat watched as Ji Xiaoya fell from the cabin into the water and was drowned by the speedboat in the night sky behind her. Chapter 457. In the vast expanse of smoke, they could vaguely see a boat passing by not far away from Yi Huanyin. Her exclamation was drowned out by He Chaochuan's sudden attack. He lowered his voice and mixed it with the waves. "Don't make a sound. That's my family's boat." Yi Huanyin's eyes were red. She looked in the direction where Ji Xiaoya was drowned by the waves. Her face was drained of color. "I will bring her back." After saying this, without waiting for Yi Huanyin's response, with a plop, He Chaochuan's red life jacket was all that was left in front of her eyes. The night was about to break, and a wisp of white light appeared in the east. The waves were surging, and the smoke had dissipated. After the smoke had dissipated, there was no trace of anyone on the surface of the sea. He Chaochuan had already adjusted the direction of the speedboat. Yi Huanyin looked in the direction he had jumped in disbelief. Her eyes were filled with tears. When she turned around, Chen Yin was holding Naneo tightly. Her expression was very complicated. She opened her mouth and finally spat out a sentence. "Damn it, if only I could swim." When the speedboat docked at the harbor, it was already bright. Yi Huanyin got off the boat first and took Naneo from Chen Yin. Then, the three of them took a taxi directly to the hotel in downtown Los Angeles. "Won't anyone discover us here?" Chen Yin sent Naneo into the room. After coming out, she stood in front of the window and carefully opened the curtains. "No, this is a long-term suite rented with the identity of Gu Lu. If anything happens, the family will have a place to stay. Before we came, my father told me, so it's absolutely safe here." Chen Yin breathed a sigh of relief. She turned around and sat down in front of the coffee table. 2 days ago, I thought that it would be great if I could be born a rich young lady like you. I could eat and drink well every day and order the servants around in the villa. I could stay in the villa for the rest of my life and not go anywhere. And now, Yi Huanyin looked at her, slowly exhaled, and said faintly, "You've completely given up on this idea." "You can't really put it that way. I just suddenly understood the saying that benefits and risks coexist." Chen Yin didn't even finish middle school before she ran out of home to become a hooligan. So this kind of words was really not something she could say. Yi Huanyin was a little curious, so she casually asked, "Which book did you see this in?" "No." Chen Yin smiled embarrassedly, scratched her head and explained, It was in prison. After you left, another academic finance professor came to our prison. He was old and seemed to be involved in a money laundering case. In the end, something happened and he was brought in. At that time, Big Sister said that a knowledgeable person might not be able to live a peaceful life. Yi Huanyan clenched the cup in her hand. Although Chen Yin was usually carefree, she was particularly sensitive now. Seeing Yi Huanyan's expression change and stop talking, she regretted speaking without thinking. She hurriedly said, "Sister Yin Yan, I didn't mean that. Uncle and Auntie will definitely be fine. They didn't do anything wrong." Xiao Wu, sometimes, even if you didn't do anything wrong, there will still be people who want to push the blame to you and splash dirty water on you. Sister, I know that's not what you mean. I don't have the ability to care about my parents' matters. Since they stayed, they must have a way to solve their predicament. What I'm worried about is Xiao Yu and Xiao Kun. The sea looked very gentle when it was calm, but most of the time, it was not gentle to land animals. On the second floor of a seaside villa in Manhattan Beach, a strong man with a pale face was placed in a wheelchair and pushed to the balcony on the second floor to bask in the sun. "I'm going to make a trip to China. You stay here obediently. When I'm done with everything, I'll take you back to the Four Seasons villa that you miss so much." Gu Duo stood behind him in a long black dress, looking calmly at the sea in the distance. "Brother, I said before that no one in this world is more compatible than us." A cold laugh came from in front of her. Her eyelashes trembled slightly. "Why? Do you think we're not compatible?" Gu Xinian closed his eyes and didn't say a word. Gu Duo walked around the wheelchair in front of him and slowly squatted down to be level with him. She held the armrests on both sides of the wheelchair and looked up at him. "Brother, you're laughing coldly. Do you think I'm wrong?" Gu Xinian still maintained that mocking look. His lips were dry, but he didn't seem to want to move at all. Gu Duo's grip on the wheelchair gradually tightened. She gritted her teeth and said, "You're not going to talk? Okay." She got up slightly and moved towards his pale lips, but he easily avoided her by tilting his head. His eyes were full of disgust. "Gu Xinian, I said before, don't look at me like that again." Gu Duo's eyes gradually filled with madness. She held Gu Xinian's cheek and kissed him without any pattern. She was clumsy and rough, infatuated and crazy. Gu Xinian's entire body could only move from his neck up. He couldn't muster up any strength at all. The only part of his body that could move, his neck, was also under Gu Duo's forceful control, and was bullied at will. After struggling for a long time, he suddenly stopped moving, allowing her lips to crazily fall on his cheeks and lips. His response, however, was only an indifferent expression. Gu Duo gradually stopped. She hugged Gu Xinian's neck and almost hung on him. Her eyes were full of grief and she repeated every word. "I said before, I hate you looking at me like that." It was like looking at an unwanted stray dog by the roadside, even more pitiful. The sound of the door slamming echoed on the balcony. Gu Xinian knew that she would be gone for a long time this time, and his chance to escape was probably only in the next few days. Four Seasons Villa. In the wee hours of the morning, the United Nations Public Prosecutor's Office surrounded the entire Four Seasons Villa. He Xiao followed behind the person in charge of this operation, Mr. Smith, and walked into the magnificent Four Seasons Villa. Gu Ling and Wen Yi were both dressed up and sitting on the sofa, looking like they had been waiting for a long time. "Mr. Gu Ling, you are suspected of smuggling arms. Please come with us to cooperate with the investigation." Smith's fluent English sounded in the hall. He still had a bit of respect for this stock god, who used to be famous on Wall Street. Gu Ming stood up, but his eyes were fixed behind Smith. "Okay, but before you leave, it seems that someone has something to say to me." Smith's eyes were slightly sluggish. He subconsciously looked behind him and frowned. "Do you have anything to say?" "Mr. Smith, please take your people and wait outside. I have some personal matters to discuss with my friends. It won't take too long." Smith nodded and walked out with his people. Only He Xiao and his two former friends were left in the huge East Villa living room. The atmosphere was tense. Chapter 458. How long have you been waiting for this show? A very long time. Are you tired of playing along with me and Winnie for so many years? I'm playing along with you, but not with Winnie. Gu-hung didn't know what else to say. She sneered. Is this what you want to tell me? He Zhao's expression was cold as he turned to look at Winnie. When he met her gaze, he looked back at Gu-hung. He straightened his neck and said, Shouldn't I? Do you think this reason is laughable? Gu-hung looked at him quietly. If you really did it for Winnie, would you have joined forces with Dan Na to kidnap Xinyan? A month ago, He Xiao had specially brought his son to the villa on the pretext that his son wanted to see Yi Huanyan. In fact, it was just a cover. After Dan Na was exposed, Gu-hung quickly checked the villa's surveillance camera and found that on the day the He father and son came, He Xiao had gone to the west coast alone at night. He Xiao's face paled. Although he knew that he couldn't hide from Gu-hung, he still felt guilty to be exposed in front of Winnie. The living room suddenly quieted down, and no one spoke for a long time. How is Xinyan? The person who broke the silence was Winnie. Her face was pale. When she looked at him, the sadness in her eyes was greater than anger. He Zhao's heart trembled. He clenched his fingers and tried to calm himself down. He's fine. Nothing will happen to him. That's good. You can do whatever you want us to, but don't hurt my two children. Winnie. He Zhao's tone became more anxious. I don't want to hurt you. Smith will only take old Gu away for investigation. Nothing will happen. Do you think that you're not hurting me by letting them take old Gu away with you? When he looked at him faintly, the sadness in her eyes had disappeared, and her patience had been exhausted. She had never been a good-tempered person. Before He Xiao had brought Smith over, Gu-hung had already held her hand and said a lot of things to her, reassuring her and asking her to be patient. Such a storm was just the tip of the iceberg for the two of them. Compared to the rain of bullets in the past, it was just a drop in the ocean. Gu-hung was still indifferent. He looked at He Xiao the same way he did on Wall Street. At that time, he had not yet made a name for himself, and He Xiao was still a naive playboy. When he walked out of the bank, he glanced coldly at the rich second-generation young master He Xiao, who was surrounded by people. It was this cold glance that made him and He Xiao get to know each other. Originally, back then, you should have married me. Before Gu-hung was taken away by Smith, this was what He Xiao said. He turned around to take a look, but he wasn't looking at the person who spoke. When he looked at him, her eyes were full of worry, but she didn't get up to send him off. She forced a smile and watched him leave. She turned a deaf ear to He Xiao's words in the living room. Winnie, things shouldn't have developed like this. Gu-hang's figure finally disappeared outside the door. Hearing the sound of the car engine, Winnie gradually retracted her gaze and looked at He Xiao. Are you done? Winnie, don't disgust me with your self-righteous affection. Winnie took a deep breath and stood up. Her wine-red sweater made her skin look even fairer. Although she was already in her 60s, she still had a unique charm. At this moment, her indifferent expression was exactly the same as that of the person who had just walked out. Why didn't you say these words 40 years ago? Why didn't you do these things 40 years ago? How were you doing without me? You still got married and had children. You still had a meteoric rise. Old Gu, and I didn't interfere with your life at all. We have a clear conscience. That's all on the surface. Do you know how painful it was for me over the past 40 years? Every day felt like a year to me. He Zhao's voice suddenly rose. He seemed to be very dissatisfied with Wen Yi's indifferent attitude. His face turned red. Since the day you married Gu-hung, every day felt like a year to me. When he looked at him, after a while, she said in a low voice, So you want to say that you set up a trap to frame old Gu and me, because you were unwilling to accept it? It was all because you couldn't forget me all these years? It's such a big trap, but you put the blame on me. I'm really flattered. He Xiao, before my father died, he told me that people who do bad things always have their own reasons. But no matter what the reason is, it's just an excuse that can be magnified infinitely by you. Because in this world, there will always be people who are as miserable as you and have the same excuse as you, but they still live a kind, benevolent, and lively life. Winnie, don't come over. The black muzzle of the gun was pointed at He Zhao's heart. Wen Yi's eyes were filled with coldness. That indifferent look was just like the one she had when she was in the South African diamond robbery case. You know that my shooting skills are very accurate. This is still my private territory. You broke in, so I shot you. I won't be held responsible. He Zhao stopped in his tracks and clenched his fists tightly. Okay, don't move. I won't go over. But you can't deny my feelings for you. Feelings? Wen Yi sneered. If it was old Gu today, even if I had already shot him, he would still have the strength to crawl in front of me and not let go even if he died. This was the reason why she had been loyal to him for so many years. When it came to feelings, she believed that no one in this world would love her more than old Gu. He Zhao's face was ashen. He wanted to go forward several times, but he was held back by the gun. In the end, he left angrily and said, "Before the investigation is completed, the Four Seasons villa will be temporarily locked down. No one is allowed to enter or leave." Wen Yi did not retract her finger from the trigger for a long time. She waited until the sound of the engine at the door disappeared. Then she fell onto the sofa, her eyes red. Gu Min rushed over. Probably because she had a conflict with someone, her face was bruised and red, but she still rushed in without a care. "Madam, are you okay?" Wen Yi leaned against the sofa. Gu Min had twisted a handkerchief for her on her forehead. "I'm old and my blood pressure is a little high, so old Gu told me not to get too agitated." Her voice was a little hoarse. "Yin Yin and the rest have left, right?" Gu Min nodded. "Yes, they have left. Madam, don't worry. Sir is such a smart person. He will definitely find a way to get through this difficult situation. Moreover, young master is outside. If young master hears the news, he will definitely find a way to come back." Wen Yi looked at Gu Min. She did not comment on her words of comfort, but there was a rare affection in her eyes. "Min Min, why aren't you leaving?" "I'm staying to accompany madam. If that despicable He Zhao dares to do anything to you, I will break his legs." Before she could finish speaking, she suddenly covered her mouth and looked at Wen Yi in panic. To her, Wen Yi was very strict. Probably since Gu Min had an impression of her, Wen Yi had been very distant from her. When they met occasionally, she would ask her to behave properly. If she made a mistake, she would be punished. Chapter 459. Gu Min was simple-minded, and it was difficult for her to figure out what others were thinking. All these years, she had always felt that Wen Yi did not like her, probably because she was boorish and barbaric. After all, Gu Duo was a well-behaved girl in the past. Although she was overly willful, she had never made a mistake in terms of etiquette. After Yi Huanyan came back and became the real second miss of the Gu family, she was so well-mannered that any script she wrote could be made into a high-quality first-rate movie in the country. In front of Wen Yi, she had always been a little timid and did not know what to do. "Are you a little afraid of me?" Wen Yi asked. Gu Min quickly shook her head. "I am a little strict with you." Wen Yi touched the handkerchief on her forehead, and her face was pale. "Because you are too much like me." Gu Min's expression froze, and she looked up in surprise. "I was the one who brought Duo up. I spoiled her too much and neglected her spiritual world, which led to her current paranoid personality. Yin Yin wasn't by my side since she was young, but she's more like her father in her bones. You, on the other hand, are more like me. When I was young, I was naive and ignorant. I was hot-blooded and loyal. I was straightforward, as if anyone in the world could see through my thoughts at a glance. But it is easy to be at a disadvantage like this." Gu Min looked confused and hesitated. "But didn't madam meet sir?" "That's because I was lucky. I think my luck is pretty good too. I was born in the Four Seasons villa, and had many brothers and uncles to play with me since I was young. Later on, I met second miss, young madam, Nanao and Xiaowu." Looking at Gu Min counting with her fingers, the loneliness in Wen Yi's heart lessened a lot. It was good to be content with what one had. "If I can't use my cell phone, then is there any way to contact the people back home?" Chen Yin collapsed on the sofa with a bitter look on her face. "Why don't you try using the phone? I'll just use it. I'm not from the Four Seasons mountain villa. It's not like that he guy wants to catch me, right?" Yi Huanyan frowned. For safety's sake, let's not take the risk. She needed to contact Gu Qi. Gu Lu had always shared information with Gu Qi when he left. He had just found out that Gu Xinian had disappeared from the west coast. Gu Qi must have a record. Now that something had happened to the Four Seasons villa, she needed to find Gu Xinian as soon as possible. Naaneo yawned as he walked out of the bedroom with his bird's nest hair standing on end. Mommy, I'm hungry. Wait a minute. I ordered breakfast from the hotel. It will be delivered soon. Yi Huanyan carried him up and put him on the sofa, comforting him in a low voice. She didn't dare go out for the past 2 days. Almost everyone in Los Angeles was He Zhao's people, and no one knew if they could come back after leaving. We can't keep doing this. Chunning sighed with a dejected look on her face. Brother Xiaobo asked when we're going back. Naaneo's muddled voice came from Yi Huanyan's arms. Chen Yin answered casually, Tell him in 2 days. It won't be long. After saying this, there was a long silence. After some time, Chen Yin was the first to jump up from the sofa and look at Yi Huanyan's expression. Sure enough, he looked as shocked as her. Naaneo, what did you just say? She asked anxiously. Brother Xiaobo, how did you get in touch with him? Naaneo froze for a moment, then said matter-of-factly, code and program. Brother Xiaobo and I use this to contact each other every day. Yi Huanyan asked tentatively. If someone is monitoring us, will it expose our location? No. Brother Xiaobo designed an anti-monitoring program. If we're detected, the feedback address will automatically be sent back to another location. Brother Xiaobo said it's a diversion. Brother Xiaobo, it really did come in handy. For the next 3 days, Yi Huanyan and Chen Yin kept an eye on Naaneo and asked him to contact Song Xiaobo remotely on the computer. Since Song Xiaobo's ability to take care of himself was negative, it wasn't easy for him to accurately find Gu Qi even though Gu Qi was at Haiyan Media. They only received accurate information 3 days later, that Song Xiaobo had contacted Gu Qi after another 2 days. Gu Qi flew to Los Angeles. The moment he opened the door, Chen Yin almost pounced on him and hung herself around his neck. She asked anxiously, Did you bring food? I want to eat covered rice. They ate Western food every day in the hotel. After 5 days of eating, Chen Yin wanted to vomit whenever she saw steak and bread. Gu Qi dodged her attack and closed the door behind him. He said in a deep voice, I can't bring food on the plane. Let's eat after we get out. Chen Yin wailed and threw herself on the sofa. Second Mississippi, when Gu Qi saw Yi Huanyan, he lowered his head cautiously. Yi Huanyan took a deep breath. Are you sure my brother is in Los Angeles? Yes, he's in Manhattan Beach. Gu Qi had a look of certainty on his face. That's what was recorded in the Gu family's database. When the speedboat left the west coast, it was exposed. The tracker on the island tracked it all the way to the villa in Manhattan Beach. But my brother hasn't had time to find out which villa it was. Gu Lu wasn't a god. He had just learned that Gu Xinian was taken away from the west coast when something happened at the Four Seasons villa. Where would he find the time to investigate? Gu Qi was calm. Knowing that his brother and sister were trapped in the Four Seasons villa, he didn't show any worry. There's one more thing. I've asked people to ask around in Los Angeles these 2 days. He Xiao didn't send anyone to check on your whereabouts. His target doesn't seem to be the entire Gu family, just Sir and Madam, so you can go out now. As soon as he finished speaking, Chen Yin jumped up from the sofa and ran straight out of the door. Don't wait for me for lunch. I'm going to find a restaurant to eat. There was a cry of surprise at the door. Chen Yin, the reckless girl, seemed to have bumped into something. She kept apologizing. Sir, I'm sorry. Yi Huanyan looked at the door helplessly. Do you know what happened at the villa? Gu Qi shook his head. We've lost contact with them. But second miss, haven't you been watching the domestic news these 2 days? Yi Huanyan looked confused. Gu Qi frowned, and there was some worry in his eyes. He said carefully, Pleasure Group shares have been restructured. Mr. Ling Han has unconditionally transferred all the shares under his name to Gu Duo. Gu Duo also announced that they are married. These shares are Mr. Ling Han's betrothal gift to her. Just the day before yesterday, the domestic financial newspaper reported that Pleasure Group's shares had been changed 10 days ago. This directly caused the share price of Pleasure Group to fall several times. The board of directors was dissatisfied with Ling Han's actions and had already removed him from the position of CEO. The new CEO and vice president were the Wen family's father and son. Yi Huanyan's hand that was holding the corner of the table tightened slightly. Was this what Ling Han meant when he said that he would take care of this matter? Would he give away the entire Pleasure Group? However, the entire Pleasure Group was not just his own Pleasure Group. It was the entire Ling family, the hard work of 3 generations. It was also something that old Madame Ling would protect for the rest of her life. Chapter 460. Yi Huanyan didn't understand Ling Han's actions. Even if he wanted to compensate Gu Duo, he could have done it in other ways. There's one more thing. Gu Qi hesitated again and again, looking troubled. Just say it. Yi Huanyan looked at him and held the corner of the table to calm herself down. The mountain villa was sealed off, and the Gu Corporation was investigated. The fuse was that the Gu Corporation had injected funds into Pleasure Group, and the destination of these funds was the border arms. It is said that the testimony that he Xiao submitted to the United Nations Public Prosecutor's Office was related to Ling Han's tacit knowledge of this matter. So Ling Han had a lot to do with what happened to the Gu family. Yi Huanyan's face darkened. Go on. But the change of ownership really happened 10 days ago. 10 days ago, you suspected that Ling Han was missing. If this is true, then I suspect that the control of Pleasure Group was no longer in Ling Han's hands 10 days ago, or even earlier. There was someone behind him. Gu Qi's analytical ability was on par with Gu Lu's. He simplified his analysis process and only talked about simple reasoning. Yi Huanyan already had enough reason to believe that this matter had nothing to do with Ling Han. As for the person behind him, she didn't need to think too much to know who it was. Du Qifeng isn't that capable. Yi Huanyan frowned. Du Qifeng was Gu Duo's biological father. He was very ambitious, but he didn't have the ability and was very useless. All these years, he only knew how to ask for money from the Four Seasons Villa to do his business, but he changed his business every 2 years. He had worked in all kinds of industries and closed down whatever he did. In Wen Yi's words, he didn't have the life to make a fortune. But Wen Qing does. Gu Qi continued with a dark expression. I've checked. Before Wen Qing moved to Los Angeles, she was from the side branch of the Wen family in West Ridge. Yi Huanyan's face stiffened. She had encountered all the coincidences in the world. The Wen family in West Ridge was Wen Qingwan's maiden family. The current head of the family was Wen Qingwan's eldest brother. As for the branch family that Gu Qi mentioned, did that mean that Wen Qing was a member of the Wen family? In that case, Wen Yi was naturally one as well. In that case, she and Ling Han. Guessing what Yi Huanyan was thinking, Gu Qi calmly added, a very distant relative. The surname Wen is a big family in West Ridge, so it's spread far and wide. Almost everyone there has the surname Wen. Madam and Wen Qing are cousins. So second miss, you don't have to worry about your blood relationship with Mr. Ling Han. It's very faint, almost non-existent. Yi Huanyan's eyes were a little resentful, but in the end, there was still some affection. She coughed dryly to cover up her embarrassment and awkwardly changed the topic. So you're saying that Gu Duo and Umbo worked together to make Ling Han a mere figurehead? Gu Qi nodded. Yi Huanyan's expression darkened. She took a deep breath and slowly exhaled, but still felt very stifled in her chest. Even though she knew that he was being held hostage, the knot in her heart was still difficult to dissolve. After all, it was pleasure that had implicated the Four Seasons Villa. After all, this was how it was. After a long while, she asked in a hoarse voice, where is he now? Gu Qi hesitated for a moment and said in a low voice, outside the door. Yi Huanyan's expression froze, and there was a hint of astonishment in her eyes, as if she couldn't believe what she had heard. She asked, what did you say? After he left Pleasure's board of directors, he went to Haiyan Media to look for you. But I couldn't contact you at that time, so I asked him to go back and wait for you. He waited for you downstairs for 5 days. After that, I felt that he wasn't a threat, so I brought him here. These words that weren't a threat made Yi Huanyan's heart skip a beat. She suddenly remembered that Chen Yin had shouted at the door just now. Her eyes suddenly tightened, and she quickly walked to the door. She pulled open the door, but there was no one in the corridor. Gu Qi frowned. He was here just a moment ago. There was a rustling sound coming from the corner of the corridor. Yi Huanyan clenched her hands and walked straight in that direction. The man standing in the shadow of the corner was wearing a large winter coat. His gray felt hat was pulled down so low that his facial features couldn't be seen. She could only see that he was extremely unkempt. Although he was tall, he was leaning on a crutch. Yi Huanyan's face turned pale. She looked at him in disbelief and said in a hoarse voice, "Ling Han." The moment he heard her voice, Ling Han's figure shrank back. His slender and clean fingers gripped the crutch in his hand tightly. His stubble trembled slightly, as if he didn't dare to look up. "Ling Han!" Yi Huanyan composed herself and raised her voice to call out again. This time, she reached out her hand, wanting to touch his fingers. When he felt the warmth of her fingertips on the back of his hand, Ling Han slowly raised his head, revealing the unkempt but still handsome face under the felt hat. Yi Huanyan didn't know what he had gone through to become like this. She had too many questions to ask him, but those questions weren't as important as him suddenly appearing in front of her at this moment. Even if he was in such a sorry state, even if he had caused the Gu family to be in such a precarious situation. In the living room, Yi Huanyan helped him sit down and handed him a hot towel. "Your leg. I've been in the water prison for too long. Luckily, I still have one leg that can move." He pretended to be indifferent, but his words made Yi Huanyan's expression turn even uglier. "So you were coerced by Gu Duo?" No wonder Gu Qi had such a confident look on his face earlier. There were many things that he had most likely already verified with Ling Han. "Yes. Is my brother really in Gu Duo's hands?" "Yes." After asking the question and getting the answer, she didn't know how to react. Grief or resentment didn't seem appropriate. Yi Huanyan felt a sharp pain in her heart. They had been involved in other things time and time again, but they were still willing to jump in. Gu Duo had grasped this point, and had proven it time and time again. In Manhattan Beach, the maid in charge of looking after Gu Xinian every day pushed his wheelchair to the balcony, and then stood quietly at the side, waiting for him to ask to go back after he finished basking in the sun. There were only 4 people in the villa, including Gu Xinian, 1 maid and 2 bodyguards. The bodyguards were in charge of moving the weak Gu Xinian every day, and the maid was in charge of his meals and lodging. A piece of driftwood floated over from afar. A wave hit it, and after the wave receded, 2 figures were pushed to the beach. Gu Xinian's eyes narrowed and he said in a low voice, "Go and take a look." The maid was stunned. "Miss said you can't go out." "I said you go and take a look. If it's a person, bring him back for treatment." "Did she say you can't bring anyone back?" "No." "Then go." Gu Xinian sat in the wheelchair and couldn't move his limbs, but the cold aura around him made people not dare to treat him casually. The maid's face turned pale. She nodded quickly and turned to go downstairs in a hurry. Not long after, the maid's fat figure appeared on the beach. She squatted in front of the 2 figures for a long time, then ran towards the villa and called 2 bodyguards to save them. Chapter 461. When the maid came back, Gu Xinian had already pushed the wheelchair back into the room. He leaned against the windowsill and looked out of the window in a daze. When he heard the sound of footsteps, he asked, "How is it?" The maid was stunned and hurriedly said, "They're fine. The doctor came to see them. They just fainted after floating on the sea for too long. It's a man and a woman. They're probably a couple. Well, arrange a room for them to stay until they wake up." The maid nodded. She didn't dare to go against Gu Xinian's opinion. When she left the room, she called Gu Duo. "Miss, Mr. Gu asked me to pick up 2 people who fell into the water on the beach today. Do you think? Who are they? Have you checked their identities?" The tone on the other end of the phone was very vigilant. "A man and a woman. It looks like they're a couple. They floated to the beach. Maybe they're tourists who fell into the water nearby." They were almost dead. The doctor gave them intravenous fluids, and they got better. By the way, they're Chinese. Chinese? Gu Duo pondered for a few seconds. He asked you to save them after seeing them? No, Mr. Gu saw them on the balcony. He only saw 2 shadows on the beach. He hasn't seen them yet. If he wants to save them, let him save them. Just don't let him come into contact with those 2 people. When they wake up, ask them to leave quickly. Gu Duo was a little impatient and coldly warned, I'll be back in 2 days. Keep a close eye on him. If anything happens, you know the consequences. The maid repeatedly responded on the other end of the phone. After hanging up the phone, she opened the door and was about to ask Gu Xinian what he wanted to eat for lunch. However, he spoke first. She agreed. The maid was stunned for a few seconds and nodded embarrassedly. I won't come into contact with those 2 people. Take good care of them and send them away when they wake up. The maid's expression changed slightly and revealed a look of astonishment. These words were almost exactly the same as Gu Duo's request. If it weren't for the top-notch sound insulation in the room, she almost thought that Gu Xinian was eavesdropping. Okay, I understand, Mr. Gu. There are more than 50 villas on the beach where the ship docked. It won't be too difficult to search them one by one. But I'm afraid that we will alert the enemy. So, my suggestion is to find a way to hack into the property management center of these villas, and then investigate from the owners. Behind Gu Qi was a drawing board, which served as a blackboard. On it was a simple map of Manhattan Beach. More than 50 villas were marked and numbered on the map. Yi Huanyan and Ling Han sat side by side on the sofa. Chun Yin sat on the single sofa with the fried chicken wings she had just bought, and was fighting with Naaneo to eat. After listening to the analysis, Yi Huanyan asked, when will Gu Duo be back? I'm not sure. She's still in the country now. Pleasure Group has been in a lot of turmoil recently. Because it's involved in the arms trade, the entire group has been suspended. The Industry and Commerce Bureau is also investigating them. Gu Duo is trying to find a way to clear her name. But the father and son of the Wen family seem to have realized that they've been fooled. Now they're biting on her and refusing to let go. That means we still have time. Not necessarily. Ling Han frowned and explained. When the equity change was announced, it was transferred to Gu Duo's name. In the end, the transaction was actually transferred to Umbo's name. So if they want to investigate her, they won't be able to find anything. Plus, with her nationality, she can leave at any time. Yi Huanyan also frowned. So if she leaves tonight, we have less than 2 days at most. Let's split up. Gu Qi interrupted. How about this, Mr. Ling? You stay here and contact Xiaobo. At the same time, you keep an eye on young master. Let the 2 of them find a way to hack into the property system. I'll take second miss and Xiao Wu to these villas to check one by one. Okay. Yi Huanyan nodded. I have no objections. Chen Yin looked up at Gu Qi. It's fine as long as we can go out. It's too stuffy here. What about you? Can you stay here and accompany Naaneo? Yi Huanyan looked at Ling Han with a hint of worry in her eyes. Her gaze fell on his legs. Ling Han nodded. His voice was low. Don't worry about me. I'll stay here. You guys do what you need to do. Yi Huanyan retracted her gaze from his legs. Although she tried to hide it, there was still a hint of sadness. Ling Han seemed to have seen through her thoughts. He reached out and pulled her into his arms. He patted her shoulder. I'm fine. After these things are over, I'll go to the hospital for a re-examination. We still have a lot of time. I can slowly do the rehabilitation treatment. Just like the 5 years you spent with me. Yi Huanyan nodded. Looking at the map drawn by Gu Qi in front of her, her eyes became more determined. In a Manhattan Beach villa, the first ray of sunlight shone in through the curtains of the room, illuminating his delicate features. The young man frowned and raised his hand to cover his face. Then he slowly opened his eyes. In front of him was a bedroom decorated in a simple European style. The environment was very unfamiliar. He Chaochuan sat up abruptly, lifted the quilt, and got out of bed. He quickly walked to the door and opened it. There was a corridor outside. The wooden floor was shiny. Only a door at the end of the corridor was open. Voices came from it. He hurriedly took 2 steps. Before he reached the door, he saw the door open. A fat figure walked out. It was a Filipino maid. She spoke fluent English. She was probably afraid that he would not understand, so she made some hand gestures. You're awake? Thank you. Did you save me? Seeing that He Chaochuan could speak English, the maid breathed a sigh of relief and stepped forward. You're welcome. Our sir saved you. But our sir doesn't like to meet outsiders, so I'm sorry. When your companion wakes up, you have to leave. He Chaochuan nodded hurriedly and asked, Where's my companion? The maid pointed to a room behind him that was adjacent to the previous room. There. He Chaochuan thanked her and turned to walk toward the room. After jumping into the sea, he quickly found Ji Xiaoya. At that time, he was very far away from the beach of the Four Seasons villa, and there was no time to return. The He family's boat was nearby, and the sea was very turbulent. He took Ji Xiaoya and floated in the sea for a long time. Fortunately, he found a piece of driftwood and floated down with the current. Hunger and cold made the two people's physical strength plummet. In the end, He Chaochuan found a way to untie his belt and tied their hands together. He clasped the driftwood tightly and fainted. When she woke up, she was saved by this unknown man on Manhattan Beach. This lady choked on water. The doctor came to see her. He said that she will wake up later, so you don't have to worry. The Filipino maid explained a few words. He Chaochuan thanked her and she left. Ji Xiaoya's bedroom was decorated exactly the same as the one he woke up in. Even the pot of green plants in the room grew in the same position. He glanced at Ji Xiaoya, who was still unconscious, and let out a long sigh. He had done his best and lived up to his conscience. The sun was shining brightly on the windowsill. He carefully opened the balcony door and walked out. Manhattan Beach was opposite. Chapter 462. This was the first time He Chaochuan had been outside the house since he woke up. Only then did he realize that this place was not unfamiliar to him. About 2 villas away from the beach, there was a villa near the beach, which was his private property. Thinking of this, he suddenly smiled. There were certain benefits to being rich. For example, he could lie on a piece of driftwood for an entire day and still float to his doorstep. He turned around and prepared to take Ji Xiaoya away directly. After all, at this juncture, there was no safe place for the Gu family except for his own home. When he turned around, he suddenly saw the back of a man on the balcony of a room in the same row. Judging from his back, this man should be well built. However, judging from the height of this man, who was only half a shoulder above the balcony, he was a little short. This room seemed to be the one that the maid had just mentioned. It was their master's room. The sound of a wheel turning entered his ears. He Chaochuan suddenly came to a realization. No wonder she was unwilling to see others. It was probably because of her physical limitations. Thinking of this, he lowered his head and hurried into the room, before the owner turned around to avoid any unnecessary awkwardness if their eyes met on the balcony. In the room, the light was dim. He Chaochuan's action of drawing the curtains made the light dazzle on the bed a little. However, it quickly returned to silence. Ji Xiaoya was still unconscious and did not seem to show any signs of waking up. He Chaochuan sat by the bed for a while. His stomach inevitably let out a scream. Knock, knock, knock. There was a knock on the door. Come in. He quickly looked up and stood up. It was the maid. She was holding a tray in her hand, and her expression was calm. Sir, you've slept for so long. You're probably hungry. This is the food prepared by the kitchen. If you don't like it, you can tell me. There was a salad of vegetable juice, a curry rice, and a seafood soup. It tasted good just by looking at it. He Chaochuan quickly thanked her and walked towards the food that was already on the coffee table in the room. I plan to take her away in the afternoon. I won't trouble you too much. Please leave me your contact information. When I get home, I'll come and thank you on another day. The maid hurriedly waved her hand. No need. How can we accept your help? We should be grateful for your help. There's really no need. Please continue with your meal. The maid immediately turned around and left, as if deliberately avoiding He Chaochuan's gratitude. The room returned to silence. He Chaochuan pinched his ears. This was his habit when he was thinking about things. The maid of this house had too much power. Apart from the matter of saving him, it seemed that no matter what decision she made, it was her own matter. She had never consulted her master. Yi Chaochuan felt a little puzzled. He kept feeling that something was not quite right, but he was unable to pinpoint what was wrong at the moment. In the afternoon, the sun was shining brightly. The beach was peaceful, and the waves hit the shore. If it weren't for the occasional people walking by the beach wearing overcoats, for a few moments, people would mistakenly think that they could see beautiful women in bikinis here. The weather forecast announced that it would rain at night. The maid had already closed the entire villa's balcony. Finally, she pushed Gu Xinian back into the room and poured out 2 white pills from the medicine box on the tray. When she was about to throw them into the water, Gu Xinian suddenly spoke. "I can eat it directly. There's no need to put it in the water." The maid was slightly stunned and looked at him hesitantly. "It's too bitter to put it in the water." Gu Xinian's voice was low, and his eyes were unquestionable. He reached out to her. His strong arms looked like they were weak, but under the effect of the white pills, they were as soft as his legs. The Filipino maid hesitated for a few seconds, but still handed the bottle cap with 2 white pills into his hand. She only watched him swallow the pills before she handed him the water with relief. "Sir, the 2 people who were saved by the beach have already left. They probably had something urgent and left in a hurry, so they asked me to convey their gratitude on their behalf." Gu Xinian glanced at the maid, put the cup on the table, and nodded indifferently. The maid said cautiously, "By the way, Miss said that she wanted to video call you at dinner." "Okay." Gu Xinian turned his head to look out of the window, looking indifferent. The maid tidied up the tray on the table. When she saw the vitamins at the corner of the table, she asked hesitantly, "Sir, have you taken your vitamins today?" "Yes, take them away." "Yes, sir." After the maid left, Gu Xinian tried to move his legs, then opened his palm and stared at the 2 white pills in his palm. A trace of coldness appeared in his eyes. At the entrance of the Manhattan Beach Villa, Gucci drove a black Jeep, and Yi Huanyan and Shin Yin were sitting in the back seat. Both of them had colorful oil paint on their faces, and there were all kinds of ribbons and balloons piled up beside them. From afar, they saw the security guard at the gate open the door and walk out. He gestured at their car to stop by the side. "Stop for a moment, sir." The security guard knocked on the window and looked suspiciously at the 2 strange women behind the car. "You are? A friend is holding a party here for the next 2 days. We came here in advance to help." "Your friend is Miss Zhou from Building B over there. She often holds parties, Miss Zhou's friend." The security guard suddenly showed a look of indifference. He smiled and said, "Then tell me Miss Zhou's phone number and register it first." "Okay." Gucci fluently gave Miss Zhou's phone number, then filled out the form and handed it to the security guard. The big rocker in front of the door slowly got up, and the Jeep drove in. Yi Huanyan breathed a sigh of relief, as if her heart was still in her throat and could not calm down. She still had lingering fears. Just as they passed the big rocker, a figure was reflected in the rearview mirror. The security guard went forward to negotiate. "What are you doing?" A familiar voice entered Yi Huanyan's ears. Her eyes froze, and she turned her head abruptly. Her gaze passed through the backseat window. "I'm a resident here." The young man's voice was very clear. "Resident?" The security guard looked at him suspiciously. The people who came and went here in luxury cars. This was the first time he saw someone on foot. "Surname He, Building B, 3 to 11. Check it. Do you want to give me your phone number?" "No, Mr. He, right? Come in, this lady is." The security guard looked at the woman on He Chaochuan's back with a probing expression. The young man grinned. "My girlfriend. She drank too much and is throwing a tantrum. Do you need help?" "No, you do what you need to do. I'm going in." He Chaochuan's figure disappeared around the corner of the main road. Yi Huanyan pulled the car door, but Gucci locked it in time. Gucci deliberately lowered his voice in the car. "Don't alert the enemy first. We'll follow them later." They did not expect to bump into He Chaochuan and Ji Xiaoye here. The moment she saw them, Yi Huanyan's face was filled with uncontrollable ecstasy. They were still alive. Chapter 463. Beach Villa Area B, 3-11, He Chaochuan's private villa. After settling Ji Xiaoya in the guest bedroom, He Chaochuan returned to the living room and made a phone call. Uncle Wang, this is Xiaochuan. I've been busy with the design for the past 2 days, so I didn't tell my dad when I left. By the way, it's too noisy at home, so I moved to Manhattan Beach. Go back? Why? I'm fine here. I'll call my dad myself later. Don't worry about it. When Gucci climbed in through the window on the second floor, He Chaochuan was still on the phone downstairs. The villa had a password lock. Unless one blew up the entire door with explosives, one could only enter from the second floor. Fortunately, He Chaochuan opened the window on the second floor as soon as he came back, which gave Gucci a great opportunity. Chun Yin wanted to climb up, but she was wearing too many colorful things, and was stopped by Gucci. It was hard not to attract attention when such a colorful person was hanging on the wall. Click. A soft sound came from upstairs. He Chaochuan's eyes narrowed, and he lowered his voice. Uncle Wang, I'll talk to you later. He hurriedly hung up the phone, turned around, and walked to the second floor quietly. The door of the guest bedroom was opened a crack. He clearly remembered that he had just closed the door. He frowned and reached out to push the door. Sister Xiaoyu, are you awake? There was no movement in the room. After pushing the door open, the person on the bed was still the same as before. Even the shape of the creases on the bed had not changed. He looked at the window with fluttering curtains, hesitated for a few seconds, then walked over and closed the window. Maybe he had been too paranoid recently. Looking at Ji Xiaoya, who was motionless on the bed, his frown deepened. He didn't know if the maid had really been checked by the doctor, but she still showed no signs of waking up. Thinking of this, he sighed and couldn't bear to continue watching. He simply stood up and went out, closing the door behind him. Then he walked down the stairs. Just as he walked up 2 steps, his footsteps suddenly stopped. His eyes revealed a stunned expression as he stared blankly at the 3 people standing in the living room. His face was full of astonishment. How did you guys get in? It's not difficult to come in here. Gucci looked serious. I climbed in through the window, and then went downstairs to open the door for them. Your security here isn't very good. He Chaochuan's mouth twitched. Gucci, aren't you a little too casual when it comes to entering and leaving my place? We were also afraid that we would alarm others if we spoke at the entrance, so we came up with this plan. Yi Huanyan explained. We're here to look for someone. We didn't expect to see you here. How's Xiaoyu? Hearing this, He Chaochuan remembered the important matter. She's fine, but she hasn't woken up, so I plan to call home to get a doctor to come over and take a look. From your house? Gucci frowned. I'm afraid it's not very safe. The He family did not look for someone in Manhattan with great fanfare, which was considered extremely benevolent. However, this did not rule out the possibility that some people who were enemies of the Four Seasons Villa would take this opportunity to cause trouble and remove the firewood from under the Gu family. The doctor is my classmate. There won't be a problem, He Chaochuan hurriedly explained. Gucci still looked at He Chaochuan with a vigilant expression, showing no signs of backing down. Even if He Chaochuan found a way to get Yi Huanyan and the others out of the villa, he did not feel that there was anything to thank him for. After all, if it weren't for the He family, the Four Seasons Villa would still be peaceful, and they would not have been forced into such an awkward situation. Yi Huanyan coughed dryly and tried to smooth things over. Even if we take Xiaoyu away like this, we can't take her to see a doctor, so it's better to let Xiao-kun find someone. At least it's more reliable than us looking for a doctor outside. Gucci nodded in the end, agreeing with Yi Huanyan's words. He Chaochuan went to call a doctor, and the 3 of them sat down on the sofa again, each with their own thoughts. When he came back from the phone call, he was holding a tray in his hand. On the tray were 3 cups of hot tea. It was unknown when he had boiled the water to brew the tea. You just said that you were looking for someone here, not us, right? Yes. Yi Huanyan took the teacup from He Chaochuan's hand and nodded gently. My brother should be nearby. Gucci glanced at Yi Huanyan with a bit of surprise in his eyes. It's fine. Since Xiao Kun was willing to inform us in advance, he won't tell anyone about us. Yi Huanyan knew what Guqi was worried about. Hearing this, Guqi frowned and didn't say a word. You said that Brother Xinyan is here? He Chaochuan's voice was full of disbelief. Are you sure? Here. What a coincidence. From the tracking of the Four Seasons villa, the last place where the boat stopped was around here. Which district is that? Which house? In December, there shouldn't be many residents. Most of the houses here were bought as summer vacations. Really? Yi Huanyan widened his eyes in surprise. In other words, there aren't many people living here during this time? Yes. Yi Huanyan and Chenin instantly exchanged glances. This meant that their workload would be sharply reduced. This was good news that was hard to come by. Guqi's plan is for us to split up and search the beach villas. We'll go door to door to see if there are any suspicious houses. On the other hand, we'll find a way to hack into the property rights trading system here and investigate the owner's information. We'll work on both ends and try to find my brother's exact whereabouts as soon as possible. Then I'll go with you. I can help. No need. Just help us as an inside man. If something happens, we'll have a backup plan. Yi Huanyan looked at He Chaochuan with a gentle expression. You don't have to feel too guilty. This matter isn't something we can control. You've done your best. That's enough. We're very grateful that you saved Xiaoyu. He Chaochuan's expression turned sluggish. His eyes dimmed a little, as if he was unwilling to accept it. Sister, you don't have to comfort me. There's not much I can do when something like this happens. My father, I really don't know what he's thinking. I thought that he lived a clean and peaceful life, but the older he gets, the more he reverts back to his old self. Hearing this, Guqi's vigilant eyes relaxed a little. At night, the doctor came to see Ji Xiaoya. She's fine. She's just too tired. She needs to be put on some glucose and rest for a while. She should wake up after resting for 2 days. What he said was similar to what the maid had said. Yi Huanyan was originally in the next room. After the doctor left, He Chaochuan opened the door and repeated what he said to her. Only then did he heave a sigh of relief. He held Ji Xiaoya's hand by the bed and helped her lift the blanket up to her chin with his other hand. When do you plan to start the operation tonight? He Chaochuan asked as he looked for clothes in the wardrobe. Yi Huanyan answered. When it's completely dark, we'll see which villas in this area have their lights on. We'll first investigate and make a record. That you're tuning in to the Earbook Haven YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.